up on 6 o'clock here. So I'm gonna call us to order.
Do it.
Silence on the cell phone. All right. First item is to approve minutes from last time, which was December the 5th. Could I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any changes, discussion, what have you? Okay. Then all in favor of approving the minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, set adjust agenda. Do we have any changes that we need?
I have an item potentially to add.
An item, okay.
I don't know, so we have a candidate for the animal control officer.
We do?
Wouldn't it be willing to start directly?
Let's, yeah.
We can talk about
Yeah,
that.
can we do that as
now.
item 5?
Yeah, sure. I think we should. We have somebody that, I spoke with the chief and the town manager, and I think we could,
Wow, that's exciting.
it is, actually.
Yeah.
Well, people don't understand how important it is,
It's
not for
very
the
important.
animals in
It's
town,
never
but.
easy to get that person.
Right, it's never easy to
it's
fill a
someone
position.
that,
It's
and that I
important.
know will do a good job, so we
Wow.
can talk about that.
Awesome. Okay, so we'll add that as an item 5.
That's perfect.
Eric, I'm sorry, select board.
No, go ahead.
Anybody else? Do we need to do anything in regards to the communication, CUD, help me out.
Oh, the CUD?
Yeah,
We're gonna chew on it.
Yeah, let's chew on it. till
we
next
discussed
time.
on Amanda's saying now that we had tabled that till January 2nd meeting, so I may be out of order.
The only thing there would be, yes, January 2nd is we'll be looking at the warning.
Yes, it's the decision whether or not to have it on the warning will need to be made on January 2nd.
Right, because that's when we'll be making a decision on the warning, generally.
Did somebody suggest we need someone locally to,
You did.
oh, okay, I knew I heard it somewhere.
It came right out of your mouth. Right, and I believe their response was, we're getting off
Down a
the
rabbit hole,
agenda. Down a rabbit hole, but, I
So
think,
are we gonna put it on the agenda, or are we not gonna put it on the agenda? 'Cause
Thank
if
you,
we're
Sharon.
not,
I think we're not.
then
I
come
It could be old business, right?
we're not.
Keep
If we
going.
let's hit it, yeah, we can hit it at old business, let's do that.
Keep it rolling.
Any other changes to the agenda? So could we have a motion to add an item number 5 to the agenda?
on. So moved. Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So we have an item number 5 to discuss animal control officer. Next, communication from the audience.
Just FYI.
You know, sometimes recently we have had an audience live in the studio.
Right here.
Has Hardwick Rescue
Okay.
contacted you about their appropriation? Because I thought someone was gonna be there for them tonight.
They have communicated with us in writing.
Okay.
Yep. I don't know if anyone's coming tonight.
We'll be talking more about that.
When we get to the
Item
budget.
4, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Next is town manager report. Sean Fielder.
Okay, so we have had recent communications with the Drinking Water and Groundwater Protection Division on the status of the Bridgman Reservoir Roof Project. And where we are at in a nutshell is the main construction is complete. The reservoir is still isolated from the regular part of the system, if you will. And right now it is being disinfected, so it's full. We've got chlorine in there. The next step would be our required water quality testing to bring it back online. And with the appropriate results and approval from the drinking water program, that program would be, the state office would be giving us the clearance to, okay, you're back to a normal operating condition, and open the valve and we're connected back up. So
Approximately how long does that take to fill that thing?
a couple days, Tom?
Well, if we had the pump running good, we good 24 hours. Just
Right,
fill
really?
it. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So there'll be a handful of things that when we get into the spring of 2020, there's some site cleanup and a couple of touch-up things that we still would have to do. But, in regards to the objective of getting it back to a usable condition, we're getting close. I'd been talking right along about trying to come back online in December. We're going to be within a couple of weeks of that. So I think that's pretty good, because here we are doing a major construction project into a season which is not conducive to construction, but it's working out okay.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Okay, I did attend another pedestrian and traffic safety task force meeting recently, and the group's done a really good job of obtaining stakeholder feedback and just trying to get some information in order with the next step. And I don't know the exact timeline on this, but the task force would be presenting their basically recommendations and some of the information that's been garnered to the full select board, so we can figure out, okay, what are some of those things we can do in regards to action items to try to make improvements. That's the push there, of course. Continuing to work with the Judavine Library contacts, most recently on a historic review process application as a part of just various things the library team is working on. And also continuing to assist on, I commented last meeting about a community facilities grant through USDA, and we're going to be in a favorable position on that, and we'll know more in the next 6 to 8 weeks as far as what the finals are. We have a conference planning meeting with USDA officials in the early part of January just to go over some of the details related to that project. Continued work efforts for the Yellow Barn project with various grant applications being evaluated and more information being pulled together. So a lot of positive things happening there. Did submit a Vermont Better Roads grant application to VTrans with support of Tom and Casey. This would be for funding support. It's an 80-20 situation, meaning the town would put 20% up as the match if we get an improvement. Be for ditch improvements to the Tucker Brook Road. We'll get a response on that from VTrans later this winter. So, there's a good opportunity there. I have exchanged information. We've talked just a little bit at various meetings about, Eric's brought it up and the other select board members have talked about this. What's the strategy moving forward? If we want to make an improvement to the town garage facility, what can we maybe look at a planning tactic approach? That was Eric's suggestion most recently. So I did contact USDA about, their suggestions on where we can maybe get some funding support for just analyzing where we're at, getting information in order, effectively planning grant, and then figuring out how that might work with future funding cycles. And USDA actually works with Northern Community Investment Corporation. They actually, so I was handed off to Northern Community Investment Corporation, NCIC. So I have reached out to the contact there out of the St. Johnsbury office, and we're exchanging information. So we'll be getting more information about where those opportunities might lie to get somebody in here to help us just with everything and pulling the information together, looking at the site, what do we really want, all these things that are pretty significant data points. So we're in a good position there.
And just to hit that again, the goal there time-wise would be that we figure out the funding for planning this winter, spring, we do the actual planning next summer, then we'd move into design, and it would be summer 2021.
That's correct.
Hoping to hit construction.
Yeah, with the information at hand, with us reaching out to USDA, what I was thinking about on this is it probably would align with the community facilities grant, and the community facilities grant deadline is December in a given year. So we're matching up nicely with that schedule. Depending on what happens with NCIC and what they advise for how we might want to proceed, depending on what we want to do as a community, it would put us in a good position to potentially go after the USDA monies on a grant application next December for 2021 construction. Again, nothing decided there, but we're just trying to get our planning information in order.
And meanwhile, Tom, you guys are still warm.
Awesome.
Last night, the Northeastern Vermont Development Association held a subcommittee meeting to look over and discuss the most recent town plan update that the select board and many towns committees were involved with this, many citizens were involved, looking at our update to the town plan. I've lost track, was that November 7th that I think the select board, or 6th, one of those dates, put the final, yeah, this is what we want. So the way it works is the Regional Planning Commission does have to do a sign-off, that's NVDA. They met last night here in town. It's a subcommittee of folks. They moved to recommend it be approved. There's a couple of tweaks on some language in English. That's fine, we could make those adjustments. Nothing significant, grammatical type things. So the subcommittee moved that we go forward with this. Now what it would do is go to the NVDA full board. I wasn't able to pin down this afternoon what's that date when that full board meets, but it's imminent that the plan would be approved. Planning Commission members, a lot of different stakeholders were putting a lot of time into this. Select board put time into this, of course. Kristen Leahy, our zoning administrator, did a heck of a lot of work on this, so I want to say thank you to her for her efforts on this. And just a quick feedback item on this. The subcommittee, the chair last night said it's a really nice, concise item. We really are happy with what we got here. That was their commentary, so it's good work by everybody.
They were
Nice.
very impressed, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm being as concise as I can be here tonight, and I would just close with this. I'd like to take the opportunity to pass along Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all the Hardwick residents, business owners and visitors, and, particularly in the holiday season, but beyond, please consider shopping local. That makes a difference for our friends and neighbors here in the community. And special thank you, best wishes over the holiday time to all our town employees, board and committee members who serve the town of Hardwick. It's nice to have you involved, and I wish you all the best. And that's all I have for tonight.
Great.
And I set the record for shortest report.
Fine job, fine job.
at that, I was pretty impressed, actually.
And I'm going to ask a bunch of questions of you now.
I might even wish you Merry Christmas. Any questions for Sean before we move on?
No questions, my time is up.
Good. All right, so next up is road foreman report. Tom Fadden is still awake, even though I imagine you
It was
were up
early
this
morning.
morning.
Yeah, last couple mornings and last night's late. But anyways, like Danny said, he saw our new truck, we finally got that.
Oh, I didn't see it. You
Oh,
got
you
it?
didn't see it? Oh, yeah, haven't driven it that much. I think I drove it back here. I think I went around town with it once, but we've had a guy out this week because he got injured. So he's been out, so I've been in the 1 ton, and I threw Kenny in the new truck yet, or this morning, I think it was.
He liked it.
Yeah, he said he did. Feedback from him anyways, so he said it was good.
You got good visibility, it wasn't too big.
No, it's, like I said, just a hair bigger than the 1 ton that can handle the wing,
But it
so.
handled the wing, which was being used, I saw, which is
Yeah.
a huge difference, so. When the
Oh.
last one started.
Yeah.
I did notice that the
I
side
noticed the
streets
shiny
were wider.
wheels.
Yeah,
I didn't notice the truck, but I noticed the side streets were wider.
yes. So that's why. But anyway, so besides that, like Sean was mentioning, we've been dealing with the reservoir up there, filling that on and off the last 3 days. We've had a problem with one of the modems up at the reservoir up on Glen's side, the only modem that's in use for the level of the reservoirs.
Yeah.
Well, that got stuck, and so it was reading that it was, the level was normal, and we pretty goddamn near ran out of water, because there's really no way of knowing or getting no
It's all
alarms.
sealed.
Well, yeah, but somehow, some way, the modem's no good right now, so gotta get sent out and get reprogrammed. We figured we could use the one from Glen's side, but I guess Ron's been working on that, and there's no such luck with it. So the pumps right now have been running on timer, so that's our third backup, so.
The technician's coming in next Monday, just be on site and do the local evaluation, figure out, what we gotta do to make it smoother operations moving forward, I guess is how we would say it, make sure we're where we normally are.
Yeah.
Right, the timer works fine,
Yeah.
normal flow, but
Yep.
if we have, with the holidays and stuff coming, you're gonna have,
Well, it's not too bad. I mean, once you get a good idea of what the levels were, you can actually set the timer so it's almost perfect for, but the problem is right now, we're running off from one reservoir, and that's kind of messing us up, because it's like 6 hours on and then 15 hours off. So right now, I think I got the timer set for like 5 hours on, 8 hours off. And it just keeps recycling that, yeah. So, but we've been keeping up with it, so. Besides that, normal plowing, wear and tear, a little tinkering, a little changes in snow plow blades and wing blades. Still having issues with Pearly truck. Same thing, sensors, electrical. Thank God for the paper clips. They come in handy, so that's what we're running on right now, so. Well, we've been back twice with that truck, and it seems like they get it fixed, and then a couple weeks go by, then it would start acting up again. So take out the paper clip, bypass it, and away we go. So, hey, it works.
that paper, but
So, no, just a lot of coffee. So, but yeah, so I think that's about it. Got water to turn on today, and that's it. So,
I
Just point of clarification on the Bridgman Reservoir, it is isolated right now, to be clear. I just want to make sure everybody is aware of that. And we are going to do our coliform and some volatile organic testing, just to make sure we're back to a clean state, if you will. So I just want to make sure everybody hears that.
That everybody's happy with the way that is sitting right now,
Oh,
yeah, looks good.
It came in real good. The inside where they did it and redid the inside stuff, all looks good.
Nice. All right, thank you, Tom.
Yep.
Next up is Aaron Cochran with a police report.
Bless you.
We did have Santa Cruiser on a flatbed today.
It's contagious.
Same problem with it last year. They were same car, same in it. They can't figure out what it is. And when it gets cold, it floods, and then they can't start it. So,
Where's that, they get rid of it cycle?
not close enough.
Not close enough,
No.
obviously.
So,
Well, that depends now, doesn't it?
well, yeah. So it's at the garage. They pulled it in today. Said it's flooded. New plugs, new wires. They're gonna put a new gasket around the fuel pump. And I don't know. I'm not a mechanic. I don't have the answers. So, but it did it again this year, and it did it last year. So
It just does it once, or?
does it once.
Oh,
Yeah.
once for the winter,
Yeah.
and then you're done?
So far,
Oh, it could
yeah,
be
it's-
worse.
Yeah.
Could be worse,
It could be worse.
but to be down a car.
But, yeah, and
bad enough
it
as
doesn't
is.
give you a warm and fuzzy feeling about the reliability of it.
Yeah.
No.
You know, it's that one car, so it's not because the car's idle. It's not because of, they all are run the same.
Yeah.
Same fuel, the same everything.
Right.
It's something with that car, and they can't seem to figure
Well,
out
it's
what it
With
is.
that truck too, so.
So,
there you
yeah,
go.
yeah, same thing. I'm a little disheartened with the extended warranties that they preach. It has a warranty on it, but of course, it seems like nothing is ever covered under warranty. So I'm probably gonna take a real closer look at whether or not we do warranties, because it just doesn't seem like they're ever covering anything, so yeah, we're definitely gonna look at that, so, but it is what it is.
Yep.
And, hopefully, I guess they thought they were good about getting it in. It's not the dealership's fault. It's car. They were good about getting it in, and hopefully we'll have it back tomorrow, they thought, so. They always treat us very well, and whenever we have a repair like that, they get it fixed as soon as possible, so. They know we don't have spares, so. So, as far as the new cruiser that was coming on or about, December 2nd, we're still on or about. I haven't seen it yet, so maybe it's January 2nd now, I don't know, I haven't heard any update there. And computers, I'm sure everybody knows, Windows 7 won't be supported after January of next year, some date in January next year. And of course, the state won't allow us to use anything through their systems if we don't have updated computers. So we've been going through that process all last week and this week to get every one of the computers updated to Windows 10, which unfortunately I did not plan on in my budget, so something else will have to give, but because we didn't hear about it in time for last
Are
year.
you changing machines or just changing the operating system?
Just the system, update the system. So it's about $150 per computer, so it's,
Yeah.
it's not that bad, but it's a $1,200 cost that I didn't plan on, so, but, those are almost all done anyway, so. The bad news that we found out is our Panasonic Tough Books, which go in the cars, cannot be updated. And that was a little bit of a surprise. When we talked with our computer guy, Rodney said that there's a lot of buzz about the Panasonics, and everybody has them. The state uses them, everybody uses them, and so nobody really knows what's gonna happen. Nobody's really happy with Panasonic right now because they can't be updated, so my understanding is they'll basically be a paperweight after January, whatever the date is, so. And those were $3,000 computers originally, so we're in process with those. Rodney is gonna keep, looking for any type of
It's a bigger
update.
problem than just HPD though.
Oh, yes, that's a huge problem across the country
That's what-
because Panasonic Tough Books, the military uses them, law enforcement across the country uses them, so, so we're just in a hole that we can continue to use them until that date in January, whenever that is, and, then we just either stop using them or
Back to notepads and pens.
back to notepads and pens. We'll have to buy some pens. Yeah.
I bet they'll come up with something, it'll only cost like $6,000.
Right, yeah.
Oh, they'll definitely
Yeah.
come up with something, it'll just be a matter of.
Sure they will. Some upgrade you gotta buy or something to do those, so. I don't know. We'll see what happens when there's a lot of, with the amount of those computers that are out there, apparently there is already quite a bit of pressure on Panasonic right now to figure something out, so we'll see.
Sure, it's just about money.
They're not the most vital piece of equipment in our system, but it's nice to have when you need them in the car, but, so, we'll go from there. The ones in the office are vital, those had to be done, so. And that's all I have. I think I beat Sean
No, I
by
don't
probably
believe it.
5 minutes.
I like this healthy competition between these
Yeah,
guys.
that's good.
That'd be like,
Questions for Aaron? All right, thank you. Next up is, item number 1 is Alberta's here with announcements regarding open offices for town meeting and petitions for those offices and town appropriations.
So, it's that time of year again where I just like to get the word out about what seats are gonna be open for town meeting. The select board has 3 seats open. One seat is 3 years, 2 seats are 1 year. Hopefully our board members are picking up their petitions. Hazen,
Who's running?
me,
You are?
3,
You're
yeah,
up?
it's me, I'm up, yeah.
Who's on 1?
Legion and Sharon.
You guys, okay. All right, just checking.
Hazen Union has 1 3-year seat open. They also have 1 seat that is 1 year left remaining on a 3-year seat. If you're interested in running for any of these positions, you need to pick up a nominating petition from our office. It needs at least 23 valid signatures, and they need to be returned to our office no later than 5 p.m. on January 27th. Now, for the Orleans Southwest Union Elementary School District Board, they have 1 1-year seat available and 1 seat that is 2 years remaining on a 3-year seat. Those seats, because of the way that the things are set up right now, those seats will not be voted on at town meeting. They will be voted on at their annual meeting in February, and they're gonna be floor nominations, so no petitions are required for those this year. I think that will change when that things change in a couple of years, but that's how the initial board setup is. So if somebody's interested in those, they just need to be at the annual meeting and have their name put in. They don't have to get a petition.
Have you heard from Catherine Ingram about, she mentioned to me that, I thought she said she had an open seat right now.
She does, yes. The second seat, the 2 years remaining on a 3-year seat, that is because someone has actually stepped down from their board, so they actually have an open seat right now.
So she may be, if they find someone, she may be coming to us
To you to appoint, yes. Yep, that is
Okay.
correct. And then for organizations that would like to submit petitions for an appropriation at town meeting, you must have those into our office no later than 4 p.m. on January 16th. These petitions must have at least 116 valid signatures of registered Hardwick voters. We suggest 120 to 130 just to be sure. And you can contact our office if you would like to get the format, if you don't want to create your own. And you can also contact us to see if you're one of our current organizations, if you need to submit a petition. However, we did send out letters to the 5 organizations that were up this year that needed to redo their petitions. So if you didn't get a letter, then that just means you need to submit your request letter and not an actual petition this year.
Is that
We're good
on a
for
3-year
3.
cycle, Alberta?
Yes, it is on
Okay,
a 3-year
thank you.
cycle. Yep.
Is that it?
Yep.
So when did we do the 3-year cycle thing, or has it always been that way? Somebody asked me that and I couldn't remember.
I want to say probably, I could go back and look, but I would say probably like 15 years ago, 12 years ago now. It used to be that if you wanted to, the first time you submitted a petition, you were just on. Then they tried playing with submitting a petition every single year, every organization, and that was a lot. So then they went to the 3-year cycle.
And the they is us?
You, the select board,
Okay.
sorry, they, not the board at the time, but they.
Yeah, right.
Went to a 3-year cycle, and then the only time that changes is if you want more money in an off year,
Yeah.
if you're not coming back for the exact amount, so, yeah. But that was the way that it was cycled in.
And it's just sort of like a rule that we have.
Yeah, it was something that the
Do we
board-
know if other towns do it that way, or?
So it's kind of a split. Some of them are every 5 years, some of them are once. But that's usually smaller towns that have, smaller amounts that people are asking for. Some of them are every year.
Huh.
So I think it all just depends on what the board feels is the most appropriate way for it to be handled.
So is it kind of the case that, like, if the community wanted something on the warning, they would have to get a petition with that number of signatures, the same number, right?
That is correct.
And
yes.
then the select board would be obligated to add that to the warning.
That is correct.
So what we've done through maybe it wasn't us exactly, but what the board has done over the time
Yeah.
is said that because we can also, the select board can add stuff to the warning at will, so we've said, like, if you had your petition in, we'll keep adding it and make sure it's on there for 3 years.
That is correct.
Unless they're gonna change the amount, and
Right.
then they have to
And then they
redo
have to
it.
petition again.
Yeah.
So that petition is 115,
116, yep, 116 signatures, yep.
which is different from the.
Right.
from
Then
the-
Right.
appropriations or an item that you want to put on the warning is 5% of the
Of the
voting checks.
population, yeah.
Whereas the other one is 1% or 30 signatures, whichever is less.
Right.
So,
Yeah, thank you.
I have gotten feedback too from organizations just saying they
Yeah.
felt like that was.
They
that
just
the
think
3
it's
years
onerous.
was-
All of a sudden this year, they think it's just onerous, Like, well, this is how we've been doing it. I mean,
Why would you feel that way though when you
I don't
ask
know.
people?
I'm just saying, yeah.
Because they forgot about it.
So let's fix it, let's make them come every year.
Yeah, and then Alberta has to check all the signatures.
yeah, please don't do that. That was, I know, but that was like, they would all wait till
I'm
the
happy.
last
Yeah.
day.
Yeah,
I'm happy.
Yeah.
I think 3 years is a
I think.
That's
it's-
perfectly fine. I just
Yeah.
knew that I'd had a couple of
You just wanted to
questions and I
review
was
it.
like, wow, well,
Yeah.
what's the big thing? I don't remember all the
Yeah.
details, so I just wanted to go
I mean,
through it.
especially something like for most of these people, it's cut and paste and change the date. Every 3 years, change the date. So-
Well, they gotta go get the signatures.
Then they go get the signatures.
Yeah, but I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
that's just still, you've
Yeah,
got
and
them.
sometimes it's,
you know.
it's
Yeah,
harder
I
and
mean-
harder to get the signatures unless you're, I mean, there are certain ways
Well,
to do
appropriations,
it.
Right.
yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah.
going around and trying to get signatures in town is harder than it used to be, because there are a lot of people who work in town who don't live in town.
Yeah.
So they're not Hardwick voters, so you start to, like, have, you
And
have
that's
to
why we
figure out where
say get
everybody goes.
extra, because a lot of times, especially if organizations leave them at a store, somebody
Right.
will walk up and sign it, well, they're not a Hardwick voter, their signature
right,
means, doesn't,
Yeah.
work for
Yeah.
it,
Right.
so.
So, we're not gonna change anything, right?
No,
Good.
I don't think so. I don't think anybody's
I'm not, I
wanting to.
wasn't asking for
No,
that, I
no,
just wanted to know.
but
that.
we don't have a desire, I mean, we don't have a desire to,
I
right?
don't.
We're all good with it.
I think it seems like a good compromise. It's not forever, but it's not every year.
Right.
Right, and I mean, this is an appropriation, so you need to have a review of whether the town's folks really think that's where the money should be going.
Right, we don't want it to be forever.
So it shouldn't be forever, you know
Right.
what I mean? If it's,
Yeah,
if you're struggling, yeah, fine.
yeah.
Well, I mean, they'd have, I mean, I'm not arguing for it.
Right, right.
Either way, I'm just saying that the real review is that people vote for it or don't for it for the meeting. That could be the other argument.
Well, yeah.
It could be on there, but generally it gets voted for, but.
Yeah, and it's a good idea just to make sure that those organizations are still out there and still have that support of 5%.
Support, right, because there's probably
Every few
not.
years. And they
We
do.
barely get
typically.
5% at town meeting if we do.
Yeah, and they.
And it may not be the same five, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I guess, right? We must get about 5% at town meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a lot more than
It's
that.
a good test. I think it's fair.
I think so.
Good.
It's worked out well. We get, so the standard ones that we get all the time, we have like almost 5 each year. As it rotates through, so there's usually like 5 to 6 of them each year that have to get their petitions.
And I mean, it is as simple as putting one at the convenience stores.
For some, it is, yep.
You know what I
And,
mean.
and then there are some
Or-
like
or
the
to,
Historical Society
EPATS or
where
something, you know
Lorraine
what I'm
goes to a
saying?
couple of basketball games and
Yeah.
gets her petition
That's
filled
the,
out.
that's the big technique, is to just go
Right,
to
you
the
gotta have the right,
Oh, really?
you gotta have the right person do it.
Because they won't let you do it at the post office.
No,
The supermarket's a good place to hit on people, too.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go, everybody's getting all their secrets. That's how you get signatures. All right,
all set.
all right, thank you, Alberta.
Oh, wait, can I
and
say
what-
one more thing?
Yeah.
This stuff is all on the town's website. It is-
Self-service.
Yes, so that you can go on and read up on it and get your petition. It is also, I put it out on Front Porch Forum, and Leaf is gonna put it on HCTV for me, so.
Oh, nice,
So if people wanna know a few more
It'll be
details,
everywhere.
it'll all be there. Yep,
great,
sorry.
awesome, and, yeah, and we'll talk about the actual warning next time, right?
Yes. January 2nd, right?
2 more meetings.
2 more, so it's gonna be 16th, not the,
We can't actually sign the warning until the 23rd this year. It's the first date you can sign in. So we have an extra week in there because
So
of,
it'll have to be a special meeting.
no, oh, why, we can't wait till the,
Hey, we're gonna have to start charging for all
It
this
can't be
special
signed before the 23rd.
so we can't, but could we sign it the first one in February
I
then?
think you could sign it the first one in February. I think that still falls within the.
Could
I
we
think so.
predate it?
Huh?
Post, or post-date it?
No, yeah.
No, that's the whole point.
This is good.
So, while we're on this subject, so can someone come and ask the select board to put a resolution on the warning?
Yep.
And we just vote on it?
Yes. Alberta wasn't listening, but I
I'm
believe that's
sorry,
true.
no, I was looking at the
The
calendar.
select board controls, or basically, votes the warning. So if somebody comes directly to the select board and says, will you put this on the warning, we could say yes.
And we all,
could say yes.
and we all say yes, it's that easy.
Yep,
If
you
we-
could
if
say
we-
yes.
If we say yes.
Yep,
However, if you want an appropriation, we're not going to say yes. We're gonna tell you you have to
Right,
go get
yes,
signatures.
it would have to be a
Just-
non-monetary
just for the-
resolution.
right. And even some of those, the board has voted in the past, know that they need to go out
Yeah.
and do the work and get
Yeah.
the petition. But yes,
It
it's,
is possible.
yes,
yeah.
the board can be approached by someone and just decide to put it on the warning.
Right.
It's critical. Yep.
Yep.
All right,
All right, thanks.
cannabis.
Thank you. Next up is discussion about the Vermont League of Cities and Towns cannabis resolution relating to Senate number 54, it looks like.
Is the resolution in here or just the other stuff?
Just the other stuff.
So, could someone?
What's the resolution?
I left my copy at home, but I had a couple.
Do we have it on the interweb? Did we get it on the email?
I have,
I can copy it.
did I print it out? I was not clear as I read it, whether
that
this
was-
was going to require more of us than the liquor licenses. There's something in there about local regulation and taxing and stuff like that. And I thought, are we going to have to, put up a little regulatory group?
Yeah. I thought it was basically, and maybe I may be off, I understood it to be the resolution is asking to keep the local control involved and not have it a state deal. It's like the local people are gonna have to say on it. So it's not gonna be the whole state's gonna do it one way. It's gonna be every community's gonna be able to have a vote.
Local option.
So somebody has a copy of the resolution?
I do, right here.
Well, a little bit I know about it, that's how I understand it
That's how I,
Yeah,
generally how I
that's
understand.
what I
Current
read it.
proposal doesn't allow for any municipal regulation or taxation, really any local control in any way.
Right.
It would all fall to the state.
State.
And the state would collect all taxes, everything. So
Right.
you would have, the municipalities would have no control over anything to do with it. It would all be at a state
So it
level.
potentially would be very similar to liquor.
Right. VLCT believes that, my understanding is, the VLCT believes that municipalities should have some control should they choose to take it.
Just say no.
And so they want that support for municipalities to say, when this
Right.
goes forward into legislature, we want to be part of this. We don't want to be excluded. That's my understanding of what I,
But am I right, Aaron, in thinking that if we decide that if Hardwick decides we want to do it this way, that it's going to be up to Hardwick to enforce to see that it is done that way?
I don't think anybody has any answers yet because nothing's gone forward.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so
and
there's-
this,
there's-
I don't think, yeah, I think
At
this is
this point, it's a
about
lot of
making
ifs.
sure that,
Yeah.
that local people can control
That
it.
we have options as it
Options.
goes
It's
forward.
not about what the options are.
Right.
But, right, this is, what they're saying is, if the state controls it, then it's gonna be like liquor.
Yeah.
We don't really control anything in liquor.
Right, right.
It's basically, they set out a policy.
We do liquor
Well, we do, but we can't say that there can't be a liquor store in Hardwick. We can't make Hardwick a dry town.
Right.
We could not give a liquor license, right?
Yeah,
But,
You
but
can
the
deny
state
it, but it
liquors,
doesn't
we're
necessarily
talking
mean you're
about
not
liquor
gonna get it.
stores, like the state liquor,
Right.
Tops has a
thought
state
we approved
liquor
that too, no?
outlet, no.
no.
No, that's
We
the
didn't.
We
liquor
don't
the
have
liquor
anything
board.
to do with
Liquor
that.
board
Oh,
does
that's-
that. We do,
okay.
we do beer, wine, cigarettes.
Right.
Sale out.
Oh, but the actual
liquor.
state liquor store
No.
doesn't, I thought it did.
Yeah, it doesn't have,
Placement is
they
up
don't
to them.
ask us.
Yeah, yeah, because we just went through that actually when it
Okay.
when it got switched here, because, trust me, nobody wanted it to go to Tops to get a bottle.
And there is
sneaky on
buzz
that
that, you
Yeah.
know, there could be potential tax revenue to municipalities,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. So I think VLCT just wants the support from municipalities so that they can push to at least give you the opportunity to have some
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
rather than closing.
Well, they want to be able to go into
faces.
Montpelier and say, we've got 249 towns that say they want local support.
Right, exactly.
I would just point out that Vermont went dry in the 1850s. By 1900, there was a program called local options so that towns could vote whether or not they wanted to allow alcohol sales and consumption in the towns. It was chaos, which is why when Prohibition went away in 1930, whatever it was, we settled on the system we have now. So we're going back to local option. VLCT wants us to go back to local option.
I don't
I think that's what
so-
people want nowadays.
So reading this, I'm not sure that they're necessarily saying it would be a local, let me just,
Yeah, you can say whether you want it, you can say whether you want these people to be in your town.
Well, I don't know if they're saying
I don't know
that
if it
there. They're
says
saying that we want to be able to have a voice in however it's handled. So it still may be similar to the liquor, but we would have a voice in what that would be, what it would look like.
oh, no, you're right. The right to opt in.
Right, that we have the right, that it's set up so that Hardwick would have to say, yes, we want cannabis in Hardwick.
Yeah, the
Should I just-
The
legislation,
default
Yeah.
is,
Okay,
no, we
let's
don't.
pause,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna read this.
okay.
All right? Okay. So, I'm gonna go for dramatic
Like
reading.
a Christmas
All
story.
right, so this is the proposed wording that we have from VLCT, and it's resolution supporting municipal authority in a commercial cannabis system. All right, here we go with
Commercial cannabis.
commercial cannabis system
Okay.
that they're establishing. So here, we got a whole list of whereases, so here we go. Whereas, a regulated and taxed recreational cannabis marketplace will affect communities across Vermont. Whereas, 2019 to 2020 VLCT municipal policy calls for any legislation legalizing commercial cannabis to address the impacts on municipalities, school populations, first responders, municipal regulations, and budgets. Whereas, states that currently have commercial cannabis market have guaranteed municipal governments local regulatory taxation authority and revenue sharing, and Vermont cities and towns need, at a minimum, those same guaranteed powers. Whereas, all cannabis establishments that cultivate, process, manufacture, or sell cannabis will be wholly located in our cities and towns, and voters in cities and towns must be granted the right to opt in to hosting cannabis establishments within their communities, and that's what you would do. Whereas all duly adopted ordinances and land use policies and regulations adopted by municipalities pursuant to 24 VSA blah, 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 must be upheld in any commercial cannabis system. So I guess that's saying, you know, we're passing ordinances about these things anyway. Whereas local cannabis control commissions must be given the same level of authority as local control commissions that administer licenses and permits for the establishments that furnish alcohol. So that's just established, they're asserting we should establish parity with the way we do alcohol now, I think. Whereas cities and towns must be granted authorities to assess licensing and permitting fees for cannabis establishments. And whereas all cities and towns that host cannabis establishments should share in a local cannabis tax, not just those with retail establishments generating new tax revenues. Okay, so now therefore be it resolved. So here we come to the three things we would resolve. That the town only supports legislation legalizing a taxed and regulated cannabis market that adequately addresses all aforementioned whereases. That was my whereases. It says local considerations and concerns. That the town supports a local cannabis tax of 5%, with 75% of those revenues, of the revenues derived from the local cannabis tax retained by the host community and of a retail establishment, and 30% pooled and then redistributed to municipalities that do not host retail establishments. And 3, that the town calls upon the state administration and legislature to provide communities adequate time and clarity in law for local officials and community members to discuss the local implications of such a market and to update, clarify, and establish local regulations and policies accordingly. Whew. You get all that?
Well, Liz, I think you...
He was on.
So I think you kind of, yeah. Sounded like they want to put a lot of the local control, basically.
Yeah.
Do we, because it's there, do we have to take that control? Could we declare the select board as this cannabis control commission? Somebody comes in, they want a license the way, I mean, can we handle it just like liquor? Or is it going to require a lot of local administration of local control? And if so, then there's money attached to that.
Well, they're setting the tax rate in that.
Right in that,
Right.
they're saying that the town should receive
5%,
revenue.
we'll get 3 and something percent back of it.
So really, our only question here, so there's a lot of questions in there for me that are
Yeah.
not good. I need to chew on them a lot longer than we're going to chew on them between now and town meeting day.
But,
You know,
the question is, do we put this on our warning for town meeting, right?
The league is asking us to put this on, right?
Right.
And support it.
Right.
I have another question, which is, you know, these organizations will be wholly located in our towns. Does that mean that you can't set up a farm on the edge of Hardwick and Woken?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I read that, yeah, it could be. I mean,
It would be split up both towns.
My interpretation of that was that they were just saying that anything that's in the state is gonna be located in a town or a city. And
Right.
therefore, there ought to be some town or city input.
Right.
But what does wholly located within the
Well,
town?
to me, that means if we are in and Woke's out, then only you would not have any, you wouldn't be growing any or selling any in Woke, right? That would be the
But
rule.
suppose we're both ends, can somebody set up a farm across the border, and then they have to deal with both of
There's
us?
a lot
or
of-
just-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of questions to be answered, like, you know what you say?
So does this look like it's
It's
gonna
not
be-
saying we're signing on to doing it, is what it looks like to me, and I'm not sure that, I don't care to put it on the ballot. A good way to figure it out is to see what the townspeople say, right?
Do they want us to put, is this for the ballot, Alberta?
For the warning.
It's for the warning?
Yeah.
So it would be discussed at town meeting, so we would have a discussion from the floor, which
It's probably good.
it would probably be a good way to, but it would be nice to have,
Some discussion here before then. We've
not
got a
only that,
couple
it'd be
meetings.
nice to have somebody who is knowledgeable at town meeting to help us with that discussion.
Because we're sort of making it up as we go along. We've got questions.
Who,
and
who
we're
is
sort
the
of making up
expert from
answer.
the league that's gonna come and talk to us at the next meeting, so we can decide?
We can,
I mean, we're not gonna decide tonight.
no,
I don't think we should.
we don't have to just, we don't have to vote on the warning until February, I just what I heard.
Okay.
End of January, we're pretty sure.
Yeah, but we got a couple more meetings.
I'm gonna go downstairs and check the thing, but I think we were looking at the calendar.
We're actually gonna need to have a special meeting? Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, because you're gonna be on you're gonna be on quite a print crisis at that point as well, right?
Right, putting it out that far.
You're gonna have to get a printer.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
gotta
that's
get
true.
that
The printing
printed,
thing is
distributed
always-
So I think
stuff.
we're gonna have to have a special meeting.
Can I
It'll be short.
offer a clarifying point?
Yes.
This isn't to be put on the town, the contact from the league is Gwen Zakhav, who's been providing information. So you'll see her article in the packet information
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
August article. So she's the lead at the league that's handling this. And she's got this in an email, which I'm pretty confident I pushed this along to the select board a little while back, but what she notes in this email from mid-November is VLCT has significant concerns with the current version of S54 and potential amendments that will be considered when the legislature returns in January. The resolution we're asking all cities, towns, and villages to consider, support, and circulate to representatives and senators in your district before the 2020 legislative session begins can be found here. So that's what you're looking at there now. So the intent is to
they're
get this
asking
out
the select board
on the
to-
front end of the legislative session.
And they're asking the select board to resolve.
The key issues, I believe, are, right now, the way S54 is written is, however that bill were passed, assuming the language did not change, you are automatically in the queue to be a partner in this process, whether you want to or not. That's the way the language reads now. So the town doesn't have any say. I mean, the others, so the flip is, the league's input, and it's, many of the communities have thought about it this way, is maybe we should put that the other way. We have a citizen vote to decide, do we want to have these establishments in our community? And then the framework in regards to taxation, we're not going to be making that decision. Those decisions on how this is going to be taxed are going to be prescribed to us. We just have to decide, okay, do we want it or not? I mean, that's really it in a nutshell.
But it does sound like this, like maybe the league is advocating for a different tax.
Right now, there's nothing
revenue
guaranteed to
distribution.
go back to local communities in S54.
That's why they're advocating.
Yes.
Nothing
Yes.
In your packet here, on
that we could read.
the second page of the article, they talk about the proposal yet to be voted by, and if you look at the local cannabis tax, the proposal that's coming through says no local option tax, no local cannabis tax. So I think
Right,
that's,
yeah.
that's why they're saying,
And the state, I mean,
Step in
from a
and-
financial standpoint, the state wants to control it, just like they want to control it, could do alcohol. It makes sense
Right,
for them.
right.
A lot of sense for them.
Well, I mean-
The funny piece is that the governor last year said that he would veto anything to do with public sale if there wasn't a public safety piece in that. And there has been a ton of effort put into pushing through public sale in this next legislative session, and absolutely no effort put into the public safety piece. So there's still no way to identify anybody who would be under the influence, driving, et cetera. No work has been done on
So
that.
I watched the 5 o'clock news, and then
Does the technology exist, Aaron?
the
Can that be done?
Controversial
legislative-
technology does, yeah.
the legislative agenda that Tim Ash and Mitzi Johnson laid out today, I saw in the news, that was one of the, this cannabis is going to be one of the first things they take up, but she did mention exactly that it's going to be taken up, but there's still a lot to do on all aspects of it, so. I don't know if we want to get rid.
So if we were to distill this resolution into just like its real essence, is really, how do we think that there needs to be more local control? Like if there's a statewide program, do we think the municipalities need this local control that VLCT is advocating for. And with the, as you pointed out, with the control comes with responsibility.
Yeah, the
So
more
is
control
that
we have, the
something-
more work and responsibility we're gonna have.
That's what Liz is saying too, right?
I agree. So is this something that,
This is something that,
I don't know.
I'm not feeling, well enough informed to vote on tonight. I don't know
Yeah, it's
about,
just listed as a discussion, so we could just move on, right?
Yeah.
but do we want to put it on for next time or the time after, or
I
what do
would
we
like
want
to
to do?
have somebody come and talk to us.
And this is,
For the January 2nd.
so January, we could still, I mean, the legislature would be getting together, but January is still the
They're
time to
gonna
get
start
it
at
out.
7th, so,
Yeah,
and they got, I don't know.
and we'd just be one more town to a
And, yeah,
list.
it's just an email to Chip saying,
Yeah,
yeah, we voted this way or that way on it.
I mean, if that's what we're gonna do, what do you think, Sean?
The first time I read it.
It's a complicated issue.
No.
Yeah, well, that's one of
I'm not
those
gonna
things
support
where
this
I
piece.
don't even know there's gonna be
There-
so much discussion that's gonna take place
Yeah.
this year in there that I'm not sure sending this to our legislators is gonna really be a big part of it, but.
Putting the topic aside, the league comes at things, of course, is they want to make sure that we do maintain local control. That's an important,
Do we,
thing
want-
in
do
the state
we
of
or do we
Vermont.
not want to maintain local control? That's the first question.
Right, exactly, that's
But,
like the
can I-
essence.
can
of
I
it.
offer-
We haven't decided, we haven't really talked about that at all.
So my perspective on when I say the local control, obviously, as Danny's pointing out, that, in this particular topic, it's super complex, and there's a lot of things that you have to be careful about. But I think what it boils down to there is just making sure you have some say in how this process is going to go, so that your legislators and the executive branch isn't just saying, all right, here's how you're going to do it.
Right,
That's the context, in my opinion.
right. So,
So it sounds like we're assuming that this is gonna go through one way or the other. Is
Well,
that- I haven't been following.
it seems like, every legislative
Something's
session,
gonna
it
happen
seems
eventually.
like, yes, eventually, something's gonna go through.
gets closer and closer.
yeah, every year,
Yeah.
there's no doubt every year it's
It might
getting
not be
closer and
this
closer.
year.
But in some ways,
It's close.
the thing I wonder about is that by us, if we do decide to support this,
Yeah.
then we're supporting moving away from what we have now.
I think we're.
We're maybe tacitly supporting.
No, I think all we're doing is we're saying that we want to be involved in the discussion at this point. I don't think we're obligating ourselves to anything other than being able to say yes or no.
I don't think we're endorsing it.
No.
We're just saying, if this is going to go through.
Yeah, we definitely want to be involved in the conversation.
So I'll just go back to the first resolve, is that the town only supports legislation legalizing blah, 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 if all these concerns are addressed.
Right, okay, so we're not necessarily saying that we want this to happen.
No, we're saying that if you're gonna do it, the only way we support it is if you address these
Which
concerns.
essentially says we're going to be involved. We want to be involved in figuring this out.
Right.
But
So there's an important thing that's mentioned in the article that's in your packets, and it is just getting to this point of, I think it's getting at what Eric's mentioned here a little bit, and we've been talking about. If it goes through as proposed, where there isn't this, this isn't about whether the community is in favor or not in favor, but a little bit about the fees and how those fees might be redistributed. Under the current plan, the majority of the fees are going back to the state. The local municipality isn't offered anything necessarily. So, here's how it's listed here in the article. Municipalities cannot be left scrambling to find funding because they may not access access local fees or taxes. That's just one of the comments noted here. I mean, there's some consequences from this, right? And it's going to impact us here locally. Public safety, zoning, just a number of things. So I'm just trying to reiterate that the league's tactic on any given piece of legislation in the state of Vermont is we want to make sure that at the local level, that town input is considered by the legislature. And it's not just rammed down our throats.
Right.
That's it.
And the resolution such as this is really just sending a message to the legislature saying, please consider us.
Right, they want to get
It's
as
not.
many as possible.
Please,
Say
yeah.
that so they can bring it and say this, here's the voice
Yeah.
of the majority of
Well,
towns.
My gut feeling is we certainly want to be have a place in the conversation.
Well, it sounds like if it's passed as
You know
as
what
the
I'm saying?
resolution is, then we could opt not to have local tax, and then we wouldn't have to deal with that if we didn't want to at
Right,
that time.
that because we might do it, doesn't mean we have to do it.
Right, if we decide later not
Yeah.
to, it's not worth the hassle.
But what this is, so to take the polar opposite, if the existing Senate bill went through, then we wouldn't have that choice, we wouldn't be getting any of the revenue that the state's collecting.
Well, so I'm just saying that there's not really a downside.
To passing the resolution.
Yes, our burden on us.
Let's
If we
get
go-
Senator
if it's
Benning in
happened
here
business.
and have him tell us more about S-54 and why the Senate thinks it's so important.
That the state has all the control.
Yeah.
That's an excellent idea.
So, and to take
Interesting.
your tax discussion, so it doesn't necessarily mean that you'd set up a commission to collect tax, et cetera. They may be sending all the tax to the state commission.
Yes.
And then you would, a check would be cut possibly quarterly,
Or whatever.
twice a year, whatever, to Alberta.
Right.
And then, that's generally how, traffic tickets, everything, all that stuff happens. We're not collecting any of that stuff.
Right.
It's collected by the state and then the check comes to
Which
us.
is
So
the
it's
way-
not necessarily burdensome, to have control, have some control at least, and we don't even know what kind of control that
So the
would be.
state's
or
not
even
gonna,
if it's
yeah, this
go
isn't
through.
gonna happen with
Right.
the local communities getting 5% and the state getting nothing.
Right. You're right.
Like,
They're gonna
you know what I'm
take
saying?
their percentage
There's
plus
gonna-
their service charge.
Right, it's gonna be 40% tax, and we're only gonna get 5%, they're gonna still get
Yeah.
35%. But at least we're gonna have a say in how the rules are made, and we're gonna get 5%.
Yeah. What we've seen in traffic tickets is that there's a standard fee of $55, I think it is, minimum court fee. So we've actually seen judge reduce the fee to that $55, so that the state got their money.
Right.
And the town's got nothing, but the state got paid,
Yeah, state's gonna get paid anyway.
so.
Yeah, so I think it's important we have a roast, but I would love to hear from Senator Benning what he thinks.
So I guess if this select board thinks it's important that the town has a voice, this is the most convenient way to express that to the legislature, because VLCT has already prepared this resolution for all the towns to consider.
Do you want a motion?
Only if that's what the board wants to do.
I'm okay with it. I don't think we're signing anything other than saying that we want to be involved in the discussion at
I
this
think,
point.
and it's very non-binding, all it's saying is,
Yeah.
please, right?
Remember, we're here, folks.
Right.
Remember us?
I particularly like the part where the state provides us enough time to figure it out.
Yes, that last one,
Yes,
yeah,
the
they
last
have to,
one.
they, please provide us enough time so we can adjust our ordinances and
Right.
zoning as
Get this
necessary.
sorted.
Yep.
Where's making a motion?
Well, I move that we adopt this resolution.
I'll second it.
All right, we've had a lot of discussion. Does anybody have any more discussion?
Do you still want a representative?
We,
Or second, or
it would- I think it would be great to have even after passing this, I'd really like to hear from our,
Yeah,
both, Benning and Chip too, and just say,
because it's gonna
Our
be,
office will reach out to them.
yeah, I'm sure it won't be until after middle of January, but it's gonna be a good conversation.
We may not be January 2nd.
or is it more, well, wait, let's hang on, so so we have a motion on the table. So any more discussion on the motion to, adopt the resolution? That's previously read. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, that was everyone. So, I just have a question, if the Senate, I mean, I am curious, like Danny said, to hear from the Senate, but is it next going to the House?
Yeah, it must.
So is it possibly just as germane to get, Chip
I would
in?
think, yeah. It would be, I mean, it's gonna be a conversation that's gonna be taken up in Montpelier
What's your question, Eric?
sooner than later, so I'd love to hear from those guys what their plan is.
Benning or Chip.
No,
Trying to figure
Benning
out
or
which
Chip.
side, which side of the
And I'm
house.
thinking, yeah, which side?
Okay.
And
Because
it sounds like,
it has to go both sides, so.
yeah, so we'd be happy to hear from either or both of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because it's gonna be January, February is when they're gonna be talking about it.
Yeah,
So the sooner we talk to them, the better.
Sooner we
probably,
talk
so
to
we
them,
know.
the better.
so either or both. If possible. And if it's helpful to them, we're gonna be having a special meeting at the end of January.
Yeah, maybe they'd like to come to that one.
All right, thank you, everyone. That's kind of amazing that we moved through that in that manner. All right,
Thank you, Sean.
yeah, thank you, everyone. All right, next up is item 3, discussion about doing a bond vote for a fire truck at the 2020 town meeting. Who has dropped this bombshell on us, Tom?
Yes.
I did.
Well, I promise you, it didn't come from me.
Oh,
I was even in town report last year. But anyways, yeah, we're looking to replace one of our antiques down there. It's 25 years old. It's seen its better days. It does not hold water anymore. The tank's gone on it. Transmission light's blinking on it. Don't know what's going on with that right now. Needs body work. Underneath it last year, when we took it up to East Hardwick there. Warren Hills. He worked on it for us.
Which one? Which truck?
E2.
International?
Yes, the International.
I don't know what I've read now. Candy one.
Yeah, so, yeah, so in a nutshell, that's what we're looking for to replace that. We're looking for 275 with a mini pumper downside. It's just that we don't have the guys anymore. And you know, this will be 4-wheel drive mini pumper, which a lot of towns are going to now. Craftsbury's got one now. I think Woodbury just ordered one. Be a 5-man cab, you know, just an extended cab, almost. Well, if you add an extended cab like on my truck or even the F550, be that size chassis.
No, I think it's
Pretty small.
yeah, but it's more important to get the equipment there is get it there quicker and easier.
Yeah,
How much, Tom?
around 275, which I don't understand. I really don't, because basically you could probably buy an extended cab chassis for probably 63,000.
Yeah.
And then the rest is, you know,
What,
I
a tank?
don't understand. And it's a square body with a pump and
Yeah.
painted red, and it's got lights.
No, I agree. Yeah, so it is.
It is.
Get a milk truck, same thing.
Well, we used to get old enough.
Yes, we did.
That's not even funny to Tommy and I. We used to get military truck, old
Yeah, we
military
had
trucks.
an old military.
Right, there was,
Six-wheel drive truck, yeah.
yeah,
And we had an old bread truck, we did, man.
yeah,
That was our first rescue.
Great truck.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I have a general question about, fire department trucks. Why do we bond for them instead of putting them on a capital
Way,
equipment
way
schedule?
back, I think when I was actually first in, I think, the select board was supposed to put the equipment on a rotation
Yeah.
of 20, yeah, capital.
20-year replacement.
For a 20-year
Yeah.
replacement cycle.
Yeah, and it just never happened.
Well, let's do it now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, yes, make that happen. You got a couple of weeks, Casey, get that done for us. I would think we'd have to look at it, but I would think it would be the way we should do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it works well for other vehicles.
Yes, and, well, one of the reasons we've always gotten more life, more than, you know, that was 25 years, you've had 30 before, so.
Yeah.
What we use them well beyond their, like you said, we got one down there now. Seems like every time we do this, we already have a non-functioning truck sitting there, so
Right.
we're not doing it right at
Well,
all.
technically, if we actually follow the NFPA standards, we're supposed to, our first line truck is supposed to be no older than 10 years old. But we can't afford that.
Yeah. Well, as long as they, I mean, I think it was.
Get them
So-
all so they're running and
It's
operational.
at the expense of it. I mean, you take a ladder truck, a brand new ladder truck, it's anywhere from $800,000 to $1.2 million.
So
So if that's the rule, are there,
Towns around here, we don't follow.
no, where I'm going with it is, that if that's the rule, are there places
Funding.
that do follow the rule, and so there's a not brand-new one that we could buy?
Yes, well, there's a lot of, and most of those trucks will be 10 years old because they put them on a 10-year recycle. But most of those aren't really mini pumpers, they're more or less their engines, they're first line new trucks. Yeah, so you're talking about the ladder trucks and stuff like that. The ones that run the mini pumpers are basically like little towns like this, you know, or countries out west, you know, that are small little towns and stuff too, so.
They're using them up like us.
Yeah, I mean, you take big cities, I mean, Burlington, I imagine, they're probably on a 10-year cycle with their vehicles down here. But anything up around here, you're not gonna get trade-in for them. Because nobody wants a 25-year-old truck from Vermont that's been running the salt for that many years.
Or honestly, even a 10-year-old one.
Yeah.
So how do we go about, I mean,
It seems like we need to do.
we bond, we only put a bond payment increase into our
Yep.
budget.
Yep.
If we're buying a new truck, we're putting $220,000 into our budget in one whack.
Well,
So
Well, this would be a year out anyways, the more than anything.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, so we gotta figure it out if we're gonna switch over to capital, put all that into capital.
no, we couldn't put it all in one go, but what we could do is start a capital budget where we start contributing to it so that whenever we could try to figure it out, I don't know, whenever we think the next replacement is gonna be, we could try to have enough money into the next for.
For the next one, we still got a bond for this one.
Still got a bond for this one,
Okay, makes sense.
yeah. And then it's gonna be a little bit painful because you're making
Still gonna
bond
be
payments on this
Yes, plus-
while you're adding to a.
Right, you're basically
Equipment.
making double.
Double payments until you get squared away and get through the bond, yeah.
How long would the bond be, Tom?
I got an estimate for 15 years.
Pardon me?
I got an estimate for 15
15 years.
years. Just for talking points, a little over 2%. And that's just, again, like kind of market rate as of now, and it was about 20,000 annual payment.
What do we have, we got one now, right?
From
Where's that?
2014, so it's going into its 6th year. And that is also a 15, I believe. Actually, no, it's not, it's a 10. I think it ends in 24 or 29, it's 10 or 15, I looked at it the other day.
Same
and
What's
amount.
that?
The 2014 one,
The bond
It's
payment.
15 years.
15, so it was 2029 then it ends.
So,
Well, we don't have, as far as the new truck, the mini pumper, I don't see that. I mean, the side discussion of how do we finance these in the future is kind of a
Yeah.
separate discussion. The question about, putting a bond on, to vote on for town meeting,
so,
that's the question before us right now that we should
So-
address first.
so we don't have to put that bond payment in this budget, we'll put it in next year's budget. We need to put it in this budget.
I think it would be next year, Dan.
We've got some money in there, but,
Now the truck
yeah.
and stuff, it will probably, say if it passes in March, I mean, we're gonna be probably well into May or so before we even think about ordering a truck. And then after that, they'll put in the writing that it's 200 and some odd days from there. So I mean, so you're looking at probably next February or March before you get that truck.
So, but it still would be in fiscal year 21 though,
Or the
right?
following year budget, right? Because you don't make. a
Yeah, we
payment on
might,
that.
we might have to make a month, we might have to make a month or so, payment.
Yeah.
It'd be close, but.
It's the budget we're building now, though, so we're on the same page.
No,
No.
2021?
no.
Nope, it's the 2021.
We're building 2020.
It's the.
No, we're building 21 right now. We're in 20 right now.
Yeah, but
So
we're,
it'd be
gosh.
This
Yes.
payment would be in FY '22.
22.
Oh, okay, not
So the
July
bulk of
1st,
Right.
It would be
20.
after July 1st of
Right,
2021.
right.
Oh, once you receive
Okay.
it and all your paperwork's in order,
Yeah.
okay, I understand.
gonna take
Thank
like
you.
a year.
It's July 1.
Yeah.
But that would
Sorry,
beg the question of,
I understand.
we may as well put it in this budget and get used to it and start building our fund.
correct. Yep.
You have any idea when the next one's coming around, or next one that needs replacement?
I would probably hold off until the other truck
2029. Which sounds like an unrealistic number, but it ain't that far away.
Because
So,
technically, the
yeah,
next truck
I
to
would,
get
I
replaced
think
would
we
be the
should
ladder.
talk seriously about putting a
Well, that's a big
20
one.
grand in this budget year
Well,
to get started.
Expensive.
The ladder we're comfortable with used. Because this truck here we bought used, and it was only 220,000, I think, and it was 10 years old.
Yeah.
And it's done well, and it's one of those trucks where we got it from a department that, yeah.
Yeah, and also, in those trucks, it's very heavily maintained
Yeah.
and serviced and inspected. They don't send people up in the air without making sure stuff's
Oh, right,
together.
right.
If you're comfortable, we can do that.
Most of it's a whole
strategy.
different,
Yeah.
real different beast. and-
So in 10 years, we
All right.
can conceivably.
Yeah.
So you
All
need a
right.
motion to do that, do we, or how does that work? What do we decide?
We just need to basically.
Go ahead and
you
put it
guys wanted
together.
us to go ahead with it. I've already reached out to Paul Giuliani, so
And
he'll
you'll,
just be working on my paperwork, so.
so that'll end up, we
Yep.
can vote on it. So,
You'll sign that morning, probably at one of your early meetings in January, so it'll be here.
so just for the record though, we may as well say, is everybody, agree that we should ask Alberta to get the bond paperwork together for the fire truck?
Yep.
The board generally agrees
Okay.
Alberta should get the bond paperwork together for a town meeting warning for this. And then when we get into budget, we'll look at, Danny's absolutely right, if we've got a spare year here, where you could get that 20,000 into a capital
Into our-
budget, and then it's built into the budget, and then that rolls forward, it's less painful.
It'll be less painful and it's gonna happen.
And then potentially we could get switched over by 2029 from taking out a bond to,
But if you kept rolling over the payment that you have down, that's
Yeah,
already in here, then you'd
exact-
be fine.
right?
Right.
You've got that ladder truck, if you
Yeah.
get that payment there,
Yeah.
you wouldn't
You're
take a hit
exactly
on
right.
nothing, so.
And then you roll over, after that, you'd be rolled into a capital equipment schedule.
Saving on your
Sure.
interest, significant savings on the interest
Saving
payments.
saving on the interest and also just,
It's the way we do it.
it's the way we do everything
It's the way we
else.
roll.
It's the way we roll, and then you get a regular schedule, and it's just more predictable for everybody.
Right, and we may be able to get rid of them before they're junk, before they're out of service.
Or the other thing is,
Fire truck doesn't do you no good and you roll up and you ain't got any water.
it's nice to be in a position too, we've been in a couple vehicles before where, somebody's come and said, look, this rig is really, I know we aren't supposed to replace till next year, but it's worn out. There's money in the equipment fund. We could do it. It's good to have that option.
Yeah, good job.
Or you've also come with pieces of equipment and said, you know what, we can run this another 5 years.
Or we'll use our cannabis tax
We'll use the cannabis
Pay
tax.
for everything.
to pay for
For
everything.
everything. Yeah, there we go.
Buy unicorns and rainbows for everyone.
Yay! Zebras too? I want a zebra. All right,
Oh, my goodness.
so there we go. Thank you, Tom, Alberta, everybody.
Fire up the
Casey.
projector.
I got it.
All right, yeah, projector, here we go. Budget time.
I have an 8:30 conference call, people, so
You do? No,
I do.
it's too late at night, Danny.
Yeah,
We just
Can't do
move
that.
this, John.
agree with you 100%. Another budget call, too.
Move the projector and see if he moves the back. Vote. There we go. Danny, you happy over there?
I'm good, I'm very happy.
All right. You don't care to look at the screen?
No.
Okay.
I'm glad to see it. I need to.
So before we get into this too much, I know you had emailed that you made a few updates that were gonna be in our packet, but is what we have in the packet gonna be what we're looking at?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna start with recreation. Suzanne is here from Recreation Committee. So,
Welcome, Suzanne.
all right.
Well, I did a little write-up just to talk about what is in the budget. It's pretty much the same as what we've had in the last couple of years. The big swings are training. We're trying to budget for training that we've been doing, and it's just been coming out of the rec coordinator's salary, not doing as many hours. Maintenance, we've been doing a lot of maintenance down at Macville Pond, and we want to budget money to continue with, say, landscaping out there for next year. Continue to make the spot a really nice place for people to be. And then the youth programs. This year we bumped that up because we budgeted for swim lessons with Teach America to Swim, and we want to continue doing the swim lessons. We've managed to do the swim lessons for the last couple of years, and it's been a really good response from the community to say, hey, the swim lessons are back. This past summer, we did them at the swimming hole in Stowe, and that had a lot of advantages. It was actually kind of a punt because we lost our instructor at the last minute due to illness, and the instructors and the lifeguards are really, really hard to find in this area. And so we reached out to the swimming hole to ask if they could handle that, and they took the kids. It's an indoor facility. It's a really great facility, really state-of-the-art facility. They fit it into the budget that we already had. The kids loved it because even when their lesson wasn't on, they were able to swim, which at Caspian you can't do that because of the need to watch the kids very closely and the lifeguards necessary for that.
How many kids participated?
I didn't bring that with me, but I think it was about 20, if I remember right. I can get that for you. We did a survey afterwards through the REACH program, and it was really well received. The teachers that were there as supervisors said it was so much easier to keep track of the kids because it wasn't mixed in with the public kids that weren't part of the program. So that budget is for us to go back to the swimming hole next summer.
Do you take the kids down there, or do they have to find their own transportation?
We brought them down. Wildcat was great and said that the transportation would be exactly the same to Caspian or the swimming hole. It's like a per diem kind of thing, so.
Back in the day, we used to have 2 buses.
Yeah. I think even my
They used
kids
to run
were
twice
young.
a day. Actually,
Yeah.
there was morning lessons and there was afternoon
Yeah.
lessons. And there was multiple buses.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't have more kids.
The big addition to the youth program is to add a mountain bike program in the fall. I don't know if you guys know Kaylee Galloway Kane or not, but she's now the OSSU REACH director. And so she's brought some really nice energy and thought, and she joined the rec committee. One of their ideas that they've come out of some of these meetings that they're holding with key players. They've invited some parents and some different people from the community to join, and a mountain bike program came out of that. So in their after-school REACH program in the fall, they would do 1 day per week, and they would rent mountain bikes from the outdoor center. So that's part of that increase in that line, which goes nicely with the
Which line?
the youth program: soccer, swim, ski, mountain bike. It also pays for the cross-country ski program that we do in the winter. But the OSSU REACH staff does all the hiring, all the background checks, so it's a really great collaboration and partnership with them.
So rec is paying for the staff in those cases?
They pay them, so they're the employer on record,
Yeah.
and then they send us a bill for what it costs for the hours
Okay.
just for that piece of the program. Because they do other things, not just swim lessons and skiing.
So they're not charging you for their administrative time? They're just charging you the direct costs, or no?
The direct costs are on there, and then they do a small portion of administrative time.
Is the mountain bike program going to be here or up at the outdoor center?
I don't know if I know for sure. I can find out from Kaylee and ask.
Probably
let you
up
know.
there if they're using bikes there, right?
I thought she told me at this trail, but
Oh.
it's a little easier to get the kids up the hill. But we would just rent the mountain bikes from the outdoor center. But I'll double check with Kaylee and let you know.
And so I actually have a little scoop on that, and that the bike, there was an effort to build up a supply of bikes at Hazen, and when I went in there, this winter to get a snowmobile to groom Hardwick trails, I noticed that somebody had been into that storage area and, there was not a whole bike left at all.
Wow.
They'd
Taking them apart?
taken them apart and most of the components were gone. Their frames left and a few rims.
An unknown person or a known person?
Not, unknown, yeah, it was a surprise, so I think that was part of the, maybe we shouldn't,
Maybe we should put a lock on the door.
there was a lock on the door,
Ooh,
yeah.
somebody's partying out, not bikes.
It's what it looked like.
Selling them on the street?
I don't know, but anyway, it ends up like, that you wanna fight that battle, or should they just rent some bikes for the days they need them?
Well, and it's in the early planning stages, so they're, talking about it right now. They've developed an early budget of, rental of bikes, and then they move forward from there.
So when we look at the youth program line, I'm seeing the last budget was 11,235, the actual was 8,348, so you actually were under budget, almost $3,000, so,
That is the ski program. The weather last year prevented them from doing as much skiing as they wanted. So they didn't bill us anywhere near as much.
Spent more than that this current fiscal year, more than the 8,300.
Okay.
The summer
Yeah.
reach program was over 9,000 something,
Okay.
so it's already been more than that in the current fiscal
okay,
year.
thank you.
What's happening with the Nacville, there was a play structure gonna go up there
Yeah.
and stuff?
We have a play structure. The timing that it takes and the amount of permits that were required to put the play structure in place up there were underestimated, to say the least. It took a great deal of time to put into the permits, the applications, and then to get them approved. But they are all approved now. We have the playground, and so we're ready to install in May. And we're really excited about the structure that we've got and what's gonna happen up there.
Does the rec committee have anything to do with the ice skate rink, the ice rink?
Yeah.
You do? Do you rent skates as well as?
We have a supply of skates for free down there in the garden shed. And actually, I just picked up 3 more boxes from the Giving Closet in Greensboro of really nice, in good shape skates that are free for anybody to use.
Should be frozen down there tonight. Oh, yeah.
It's quite frozen, and actually it's, I've had a lot of feedback from people using it already and how excited they are about having it under the pavilion and the lights. I've had 3 different people tell me they've gone at night under the lights and how excited they are, so.
About it today.
We're really excited about what it means for the upkeep too, because the thaw, whenever it rains and the temperatures drop, it would make a, watery mess, and then when it refreezes, if it snows, it becomes chunky and then unusable. And there's not really, Tom doesn't want to come down every 5 minutes to put water on it for us.
So it's been good underneath
We're really excited about what it's going to do for us. We're hopeful that it's going to mean better conditions.
Is the pavilion staffed?
No.
No, it's.
It's a roof.
So how do people access the ice skates that you have
The
down there?
skates, yeah.
If someone wants to
You
use
go in
them?
the shed
Just the garden shed down there is open.
Oh, so.
and put them back.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, but
Don't take them apart.
if people
Right.
take them, they take them, and they're all free. They're ice skates that have been donated over the years. And
Yeah, but it's.
almost every year I get a phone call of, do you want more skates? Sure, we'll replenish the ones that left last year. I mean, yes, please leave them.
Right.
Use them, leave them for someone else to
Yes,
use.
right.
But we're not gonna freak out if they go, so.
Yeah.
I probably should know the answer to this, but, so, Green Up Day, we get the grant of 400 from the solid waste district. What do we spend the rest on?
Tires.
The tires are,
That's
sometimes not bags, like sometimes gloves, plastic gloves.
Gloves.
The big thing is tires,
Promotional
right?
materials.
Tires this year.
Last several years.
So the expense is here, but then there's the revenue side, the grant that sort of offsets
Right,
it,
but it's
basically.
only 400, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
some advertising, we place an ad in the paper. I do a lot of Facebook and Front Porch Forum advertising. We also get some raffle prizes for people that participate. We get a lot donated too.
I'm not certain, but I think, yeah, I wonder, the tire situation, if that's bumping it up, we should think about whether or not we want to try to write a municipal, one of their new municipal grants to help us with that.
Really? We could
If
do
we
that.
don't end up trying to write one of those grants for some sort of composting program.
Yeah. All
I
right.
mean,
That's an
they
interesting
do have
idea.
that other
Yeah,
fund.
cool.
Yeah.
Is this VLCT
or is it-
No, solid waste district.
Solid Waste District?
Yeah.
All right. Well, just because the tires end up being,
A special thing that's separate from Green Up Day, because they already support Green Up Day, but a separate thing that maybe somehow addresses the,
the tires on the
what's
side of the road.
bumping it
Yeah,
over, yeah.
that'd be cool.
I don't know.
All
It
right.
would help your budget, yeah.
So
And
all right, that's a good idea, Sherry, but on the rec budget, do we have any more questions for Suzanne while she's here? Thank you for coming, appreciate it.
Feel free to email me if you come up with any other.
Okay, will do. Next up is,
We're gonna go to line items.
dum-da-da-dum, line items. That's a broad category.
You wanna go rescue?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Rescue's right at the bottom.
Bottom line here, is Hardwick Rescue's request for our fiscal year 21. And we have representation here to talk about that.
And in your, the letter from Rescue said that basically you're looking to add more paid staff, right?
Yeah,
And the time has come.
the time has come.
So,
One of the big things that's driving this is the fact that back in 2013 or 2014, our average call volume was somewhere around 400 calls a year. We have exceeded 600 calls this year, and we are continuing to go up. The other thing that is occurring is we're well supported by our 50 volunteers we have on our squad. It's great. The place that we're really having trouble is during the weekdays when most of those volunteers have obligations from their employers to be at work or have work responsibilities out of town. And that's where we're encountering one particular challenge in maintaining a schedule. We run with a 3-person crew, 2 medical providers, it's legally required, and 1 non-certified driver, and all of our drivers are volunteer. We have 1 paid staff member who is full-time, and we have 1 per diem staff member.
That's new this, just in the
that
past
is-
couple months, mainly because we have a lot of holes in the schedule. We run 12-hour shifts, so it's 12-hour during the day, 12-hour during night. And there's, I think Tyler has the hours for you.
The total amount of hours that our 50 volunteers and our 2 employees are required to be on call to fully staff 1 ambulance is 26,280 hours a year. That's just to keep 1 truck on the road. That does not include all of the time that our board puts into managing the squad, does not include all the hours that our rescue squad volunteers participate in training or that we organize training. And additionally, with this increase in the number of calls that we're experiencing, we are in many instances having to send out 2 ambulances nearly simultaneously because we'll have 2 requests for service within a short time of each other. And that's also stressing the limits of our volunteer abilities at times as well.
So we have a dedicated schedule for people for 12-hour shifts. So if we get that second call, that's pulling whoever's in town can jump that call. During the day, that's where we're finding, trouble if there's a second call coming in. If there's not enough people to fill that second ambulance, we're calling for mutual aid, which means somebody's coming from Morrisville or Glover. So, and depending where they call, if it's Woodbury, they're coming out of Berry. So that's much more added time. We've got volunteers that are putting in 200 to 300 hours a month. That's a lot of time for volunteers. But in order to make the schedule, I mean, these people they're dedicated, they'll do it. But we're getting to the point that we're getting older and we're going to lose some members because we've got members in their 70s that are running and doing this. And at some point they're going to say enough, and then we got more holes. And it's no different than with the fire department. Finding people to come on and volunteer, it's just really hard to find people to do it anymore. It's a huge commitment with the continuing ed hours.
We've had an excellent amount of volunteers over the years, and it's great to have that volunteer support. We are coming to you to avoid having to come to you when our volunteer-based shifts and saying we're in trouble and need help. This is planning for the future and making sure that we have an ambulance in service when people need it.
So you folks, I think it must be one of the larger, still volunteer-based.
We are the largest out of our district, if my
I
memory
would
serves me
think, I
correctly.
think around, most all the volunteer spots have gone by the wayside.
Yeah.
Coverage in some of these smaller towns is really in rough shape right now. People don't understand. I mean, I know one instance where you had both ambulances out and someone had to wait for the second ambulance because Marshall already had one out. So, they were approached to the ground by the time the ambulance got there. So it's important to have ambulances around.
Yeah. So can you just briefly state, so the increase would fund what kind of improvement to your staffing?
Personnel.
A whole person or?
With this, we could have another full-time plus probably another per diem,
Okay.
which would be huge.
Well, just from us, so they have other towns.
Yes.
And they can bill for some of their services.
Yeah.
So,
So it's spread, there's 7 towns that we cover, and that's the other thing. We cover 7 towns. Our area is the biggest in the district. So we're covering 7 towns, and it's split by call volume. So
Those
that's
are the numbers of percentages on the document you shared with us.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Shows the call volume, which we are, so people on TV know what, in
We're
the
the
high
biggest.
40%.
Yeah.
which makes,
Nearly half of the call volume in Hardwick.
well, we may have nearly half the population as well.
Well, yes, but I'm just saying, we're a big part,
Yeah, we are, right. And we always, I think every year, it's based on the call volume, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over 5 years. So we average it out over
Yeah.
5 years.
But every time we talk to you this time of year, it's all what we're looking at, your request is always based on call volume. Yeah.
Have you been to any of the other towns yet, or that you feel they're gonna be?
It's gone out to the other towns. We haven't heard anything back yet. So.
Everybody's into the budget, so you will.
Yeah. Okay, are there any other changes in this? I mean, that's obviously the big one.
And then I updated
Oh, but rescue, no, sorry. So rescue, that's only just one, that's
One
that
number.
one line, that's one number. All right, so more questions for rescue while they're here?
I do not.
It's sort of unrelated, but I'm just curious. I know that there are a number of people that will list rescue as a recipient of donations when someone passes away or as a memorial. Do you have, like, if somebody just wanted to make a donation, do you do that? Like, do you guys do a fundraiser or anything outside of that in order to?
Fundraiser we have is the memorial tree. But we do get charitable donations coming through anytime during the year. So, yeah.
So anybody could donate, just saying.
Yes.
Which would also help.
Yep.
Yep.
Where is the billing at? So I know during my tenure, there was a transition from Charlene and into privatized billing. Where is that at? And is that 44,000
a shortfall from the billing, or how does that?
For paying for billing?
Yeah, well, no, for billing for services, is that figured into the cost of doing business? Or where is there a shortfall in the billing so that the runs aren't paying for themselves to support the service, or where, you see what I'm saying, where?
Talking about getting reimbursed for the services we provide.
Basically, you have your percentage of Medicare, Medicaid, and they're only gonna pay what they pay.
Right.
Private pays, most of the time, they pretty much pay what the run was. It's pretty good what we get in. We've gone out with, that part of it goes out to a billing service.
Right.
So we don't have to deal with that in-house anymore. And that's helped because somebody's constantly on it because they kick them back, you gotta send them out. So it's helped with bringing money in. There really wasn't a shortfall there. Things like medical supplies. I mean, we were $4,000 over this year of our budget because medical supplies are huge. It's a huge thing. They go up. We get shortfalls. We were dealing with shortfalls with saline fluids, so we had to get them somewhere else. And so that's just a factor. Plus equipment. Equipment is, a defib is $25,000, $30,000.
Is your fee rate for the service set for the operating year, or are you able to, in the middle of your year, make an adjustment for something like that? What I'm saying is, if you had an extra cost for an additional saline bottle, in the back end of the operational year, and that cost was a lot more, do you make an adjustment on the fee for the run?
No.
Why not?
No. Probably the biggest thing is because you're looking at volunteers. I'm volunteer and treasurer.
I'm not trying to find fault, I'm just trying to.
No, I know, but it's just saying to keep up with that. I mean, it's a lot of work.
Understood.
Yeah, a lot of work.
I understand.
Yeah.
So you set what you charge?
Yeah.
Like yearly or something like that?
Yeah, it's set for an ALS run, which is an advanced or paramedic. Paramedic is going to be more, but an advanced, if you've got an advanced crew, it's a certain amount. If you've got a basic crew, it's going to be a certain amount, and then you have mileage. We charge for mileage. And, like I said, Medicare, Medicaid. I meant to get that figure, that cost percentage, and I don't know what it is. I didn't get that.
So the fees that are charged, I guess the simplest way of putting it is the fees that are charged aren't enough to support without appropriation from the towns, I guess is what
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Just to keep us running with everything else between buying rigs and, we've been very fortunate the past 2 rigs that we've had, just 2 ambulances, we've paid for them, cash. So we're able to do that, we're able to budget that. They were 10 years, I think we tried to do 10 years. And I think the last one we made it 8 years just because of the mileage on it. So I think we feel very fortunate that we can do that. We don't have to, go out and ask. I mean, one year, the very first year we did it, we went out to help get donations, but we're solvent enough that I think that's huge that we can do that.
Any questions?
Nope.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Reminder, numbers on houses, we really need them. It really helps.
Oh, good you brought that up, actually.
We talked about this last meeting.
that last.
Last meeting.
We don't talk about it right now, but we talked about it last meeting also because Aaron brought it up, and I think Tom brought it up too about 911 numbers, and so maybe it's something we should all work on. I actually emailed Deb LaRose about it, and she said that fire departments around have been doing it, so I don't know if that's something the fire department's interested in.
I don't know.
Longer it's the rescue.
Yeah, I mean, it's whoever wants to take it on.
Or some,
You don't want to,
Some places you do it in the town,
Let's
some
give
towns
us
do the
a-
town office.
Something needs to happen. It's pretty bad.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Somebody needs help. We don't have time to.
yeah. And ain't like you have Charlene like you used to, where she could give you directions.
Land you, guide you in.
Charlene used to just say, go to his house.
I thought you just said, hey Siri.
End up in Hardwick Lake.
Aaron, are you looking for some sort of particular type of number? I mean, just
Yeah.
tacking some numbers
No,
doesn't do
no.
it?
Standardized numbering
Everybody
system.
should have the
They're almost like a
same
street sign.
Yeah.
The green and white.
Well, you can get green, white, you can get blue, white.
Red,
you can
white,
get
yeah.
red, white.
Reflective,
Reflective and
uniform.
instructions as to where it should be
Yeah.
placed.
Right.
Which is
Do-
generally at the end of a driveway, not on
On
the
the
house.
house.
It's mile and a half up the driveway or in the woods or
Right
whatever.
next
It's
to
just-
your mailbox.
It's.
Where can our listening audience, our viewing audience, get these instructions?
That's
We
the
have,
question.
they have
We
to
don't
be
have.
creative.
That is a task force that you're gonna be in charge of. You're just volunteering to chair that task force.
He said that's the task force that you're gonna be in charge of.
It's something nobody has ever taken up in this
No,
town that I'm
no.
aware of, and I think it's way past.
No.
So,
But a
for
lot of
example, I
towns have
know
it.
it was done in Sheffield, and by a retired gentleman that took it upon himself to do it, and that was this summer project, the town funded it. And he took it upon himself to go out and help people and educate people and deliver them and do whatever, to the point where, when he got down to the end of the list, he was putting them up himself. So, it's that kind of effort to make it work, because it doesn't do you any good to have three, and then not to have any more, you gotta.
Well, it does some good.
It does sound.
Well, yeah, we've got that now.
Not ideal.
We've got that now. Some people are doing a good job now.
Yeah,
But the problem is, the effort is gonna be in educating people that they have to do it. No.
You know, for UPS and FedEx, maybe it's not such a big deal, but for an emergency service that's trying to get there, time is of the essence. It's important to have the right numbers in the right place.
Yeah. And they exist.
Those right clothes.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little easier for them to find, but.
The black smoke or the red
It's a little
glow.
harder, it's a little more inconspicuous.
And if you come to this, you're too far.
So we do need to, at some point, we do need to.
Standardize what you're
who's-
right.
looking for.
Yeah.
And so we want to think about, like, so do we want to have individual people pay for them who want them?
Or do we want?
So, let's have this
Budget for it, just
discussion
like-
about these numbers some other time.
Well, we're talking about budget right now, so I thought I'd just bring it briefly anyway. Is it something we want to put money into? Or should we just talk about and try to figure something out for the next year? Or for-
I think we
or
Let's
maybe
figure
individual
something
people
out
will
and
do
put it in
Yeah.
next year's budget.
Okay, we'll work on it in the meantime.
Or figure it out, we can still get it in before January, but
Yeah, we still.
we gotta
sneak
figure it
in.
out first, that's my point
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
That's Danny's mode. Figure it
I'll,
out first.
But-
Are you gonna look into it a little bit?
I'll work on making some, talking to folks and seeing.
Gathering info.
People that
think
have
makes
done
sense for
it,
having-
towns that have done it, find out how much it cost them and.
Well, for a baby step, we can just get a standard in order, and then if, citizens want to take it on and do it for themselves, they can. It's just, let's get our standard established.
If we want to do a standardized thing, there's generally somebody at the police department, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. So, they can be sold there. If they choose to do, they can be sold, town offices, generally there's somebody there. So through a discussion, but it's more than we want to get into tonight probably, but. And we could come up with a standard and so on.
If we want everybody to have it, maybe we want to fund it.
And that's possible.
Right. I mean, there might be some people who say they don't want it. Another thing is that some people might need a stake in the ground, some people might want to put it on their mailbox post, so people would have to fill out maybe a form saying what version they want, or something we can make for that ordinance.
Just put bigger numbers on your mailboxes on each side and not in the front.
I don't have a mailbox.
Well, your number's on your house, so.
In the village, in the village, you can see that front door, there's a big number on it.
It's
a different
I
thing.
didn't realize it
Right.
until somebody.
All right, we're gonna move on. Thank you, everyone. And Lucian's gonna report back next time with whatever he learned, and maybe Wiz is too. We'll find out.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks. All right, next.
Okay, so in the line items, that was the biggest change, and then I just updated recreation to the actual figures. And that should be it for changes. And what else was I covering? Office and payroll just has a couple of updates. I've updated town manager's office based on new contract. And then the bigger one is that we have been notified by NEMRIC that effective with July 1st, 2020, that our annual support fee is going from roughly $1,500 a year to $5,000 per year.
Oh, that's nice of them.
So, the reason why it's only a $2,500 increase is because, water and sewer absorbs some of that. So, yeah.
Is there an explanation behind that? Like Rescue came and told us why they wanted
Yeah,
money.
we got a letter, that basically just said that they, with what they do, the software updates, and that they're having a hard time finding qualified people to work for them without paying them more. And yeah, I have a whole letter. So.
Oh, no, it's almost 3.
Where are they located, Nemrick?
Georgia, Vermont.
Georgia, Vermont.
Yeah.
Basically, I think a lot of what this is that over the years, they have not increased. They haven't done any kind of steady increase, and now all of a sudden, the bottom's falling out for them, they're losing people like crazy.
Right, they had a big problem too this year too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that,
And so now they're like,
Oh, they have
Yeah.
a leak or
Yeah.
So
Leak or
ours
something.
went from 1,500 to, it's going to 5,000, so.
What does NEMRIC stand for again?
New England
Municipal
Resource
Center.
Center.
Yeah.
Huh.
And that's something you use constantly.
It's like, how many towns use them? Probably
Probably 200.
at least 200 towns use them.
And we use
So-
them for everything, unfortunately.
We have
we're
all
like-
of their
All of
modules.
them, we're linked to
And
everything.
it's not like we can
Right,
just
okay.
go tomorrow and find somebody else and switch, like
We did talk about that, we were mad enough when we got it, that we were like, well, who else could we use?
So it
But
holds
it's
stuff
not-
like your appraisal and your tax bill.
Oh, wait, we have grand lists, we have
Yeah.
utility
It
billing,
touches
we have
Payroll,
everything.
and
We have all of their
payables,
modules.
everything. It's all done.
taxes, everything.
Yeah.
So really, they could do this again next year because they've
And we still wouldn't
muddled
have much
something
of
else
another
up.
option.
well, they'll be able to get
It will
rid of
still
it
be
until we get 200 towns pissed off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
But it doesn't sound, it sounds like they have an issue they have to correct.
and unfortunately, it hasn't been done gradually. It was sort of like, boom, your thing's going up 3 times what you're paying now.
But it also sounds like it would be good to be looking for alternatives.
We talked about
You're
that as well.
being captured by somebody that has all of your stuff.
Yes.
Captive.
We talked about that. I was like, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
need
gonna
to
use the
start
term, but.
Looking for
sort of-
another,
Yeah, we're sort
another
of
vendor.
there
And
and we're
I
not
think that
going
that's a good
anywhere.
idea at this point, is to just put, feelers out there and see if there's anything else, but,
You may find that it's still a bargain.
Yes, we talked about that too, at length the other day, yeah, that it seems like a shell shock because it's going up that.
But it's still,
But,
in the realm of our budget, it's still a small number.
yeah.
Because
yeah.
we could look at it that maybe we've been getting a deal these last.
That's
bunch of
right.
years that they
Yeah.
haven't.
Right.
That's right.
For a long
Really
time.
have,
Yeah.
for a long time.
Long time.
Yeah, because that has been
Yeah,
pretty
because none of that
cheap.
stuff's cheap. I
No.
mean, you just talked about Windows 10,
Yeah,
you know, and that's not a hard one. QuickBooks is a big bogey every time you turn around too. Doesn't really matter.
Okay.
okay. What
And
else do we have in
then,
here?
so then, I made a couple minor adjustments in PD, but nothing that, made it.
Whoa, we're
worse.
moving to PD?
And it's
That
just
one.
because we're working on contract negotiations, so I'm playing around with a few little numbers, but nothing that, it's not
Okay.
making it,
It's not changing it substantially.
No,
Okay.
it's still down, as you see,
Yeah.
it's just that as we're, experimenting in those negotiations, I'm making some adjustments there, but, nothing severe, that's still what it looks like, so.
Okay.
It's still down, it's just, so then coming to the summary, I wanna go, I went too small, sorry. 80, I think works. Okay, so then, this is where and I did what you said, where I just put buildings in one lump sum.
Thank you, because it just was starting to, the list was growing.
Sure.
I was like, oh,
So
geez.
buildings have just been consolidated. They have their
Awesome.
own tab, but they're there.
But they're all somewhere.
Correct, they're over, right here, they're all broken down individually, but when you come to the summary, they're just lumped together in the summary.
Oh, I see, okay.
Right here, buildings, okay?
And just, thank you.
And
just-
so this is where it stands right now. Oh, sorry, hit a button, sorry.
So-
Get it back to 80%. So, I had a hard time with the mouse, sorry. Okay, so this is what it looks like right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't show the bottom there.
Oh. Well, it's, I'm sorry, it's just right here too,
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
but yes.
Right, sorry.
It's,
The budget, yeah, the budget's up there too. Okay. So,
And that's before putting in the fire, the other equipment.
additional capital money, correct?
but it's after, it looks like you had already added, a placeholder for a new part-time position for a development person, right? That was in there?
Is that in yet?
Yes, it
No,
is.
because that hadn't been discussed.
Oh, I thought I saw it in
Says
what
it
you
right
sent.
there, 30 grand.
Yeah, I thought I saw that somewhere, but
Where
where's it
is it
in?
at?
Which
Right,
budget?
payroll part-time, second from the top bottom.
Yeah,
I know we talked about it, but I can't remember if we added it.
Where am I seeing this?
What row?
On,
keep going down.
I thought we were
There
gonna
it
talk
is.
about that.
You got it.
No, it isn't.
Oh, I did put that in?
Yep,
yeah.
I
Good
don't even
job.
remember doing that.
I read it.
Okay.
I like
So, yeah, I put something in there. That's correct then. Yes, that's already figured in there. I don't remember
Maybe we
doing
take that out and
that.
put it in the fire department.
Maybe
No.
you didn't.
No.
No, I didn't. I'm sure I did.
I think we should,
Days run together.
I think we should
these
talk
days.
about this, because I think we haven't talked about it.
No.
Just sort of slips in
I
there.
think he wants to build some wrought iron gates on each end of town, not let nobody in.
Oh, boy.
No, I think we should talk about it, and we have talked about it, I think before, but not formally.
Not talking about it, yeah.
I mean, I think we've had a lot of.
Casey got it going now.
Talked about it in a sort of
Broad.
executive discussions, but,
Well, and also.
Well, we've been talking about it for years.
Right.
I mean,
oh,
for probably 5 years at least.
Yeah.
Because all of the stuff that happens seems to largely end up landing on the town manager.
Right,
Um,
and
And our
this,
plan is for it to
It's
continue.
not our best use of his.
No, you, as far as I.
of his
What'd you say,
time.
Danny?
Our
Your plan is for that to continue?
No,
That's what I heard. Yeah. That's what I just heard.
exactly what I said, but my point is not to continue to be the duties of the town manager.
Right.
have
It's
been
grown, it's grown.
manage somebody.
You won't hear that every day from Danny either.
No, my point,
mean-
what I meant was we hope to continue to grow the economic development in Hardwick. And in order to do that, we realize that we need to put a genuine effort into it, other than the town manager's resources.
Because over the time that I've been on this board, we started with the town manager managed the road foreman, the police chief, the immediate direct reports, and kind of ran the town, took all the questions, and then since then, we've also added, okay, and while you're doing that, can you also go out and help us get all these grants so that we can
Find
do
some
these
money
other
to do this
things?
other
Administer, the whole nine.
And it's a lot
too
of,
much
it's a
to
lot of
do.
effort, and I think we would get more bang for our buck. We'd be more efficient if the town manager managed
The
a
town.
part-time person who did that. But, okay, so, there's
So,
our intro.
My concern is that we have the project that's already happening.
Yep.
And that's a pretty big project for our town. That's-
It is,
I don't know
Yeah.
the percentage of, they're supposedly gonna create 100 new jobs.
yep,
And I don't know how many jobs we already have in town, but it's gonna be, I imagine it's a high percentage addition.
yeah.
And I think that when economic growth happens, it should happen slowly. I think that's what I've seen, places that boom, bust. And I think that in some ways, it's a good model to have the town manager doing that, because then it's a slow thing, and it happens slowly. And I think if we're gonna add this position, it'd be better to add it after the dust has settled from the project that we have on hand in several years. And let that settle in, and then move on to other stuff, if we're gonna do it at all.
So then we just leave the empty spaces on Main Street stagnant and let them just kind of hang out.
Carry road
And
project.
planning for anything with the Cary Road project or anything that's related to economic development for the trails, we'll just let that happen organically?
No, I think the town manager would continue to work on it in some slow rate. And I think that would be more healthy for the town.
It'd be really slow.
And I think the Cary Road property is another thing that we haven't really talked about. I think it's sort of happened somehow, I don't know, I've been on for 2 years, maybe it's before that, or in back rooms or something, but we haven't really talked about what we want to do with that.
It wasn't back rooms, it wasn't a back room deal.
Where was it?
It was in a tax sale.
It was in tax sales, yeah. What I'm saying is that we haven't discussed what we, as a town, want to do with that property. It's sort of assumed that you want to put industrial park in there, that's what we keep hearing. But I'm not sure we've decided that, so I think that's a good discussion to have in the open, in a real broad sense. And I'm not, I personally don't think that maybe that's a good idea to have an industrial park there. And I think there are other people in town who feel that, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in town who think it's a great idea.
Well,
And maybe there are other things that could happen too.
There are. I mean, I think.
So I think we should have that discussion before we.
I don't think we have.
Start.
Personally, I haven't heard a articulated vision for that property that's clear or, I mean, yeah, generally, we have talked about it could be some sort of business park, industrial park sort of thing. We've talked about maybe that's a good place for a solid waste transfer. We talked about everything, I think, really. We got trails running through it. You're right, we don't have a plan for it.
It's also commonly kind of known out there in Hardwick and around that we don't have a lot of space to expand into because of the floodplain and other things. I mean, the town plan spells it out, and the town plan has that space in there where we want to continue to grow economic development.
I mean, one of the things I've been a little thinking that we could do, so there are towns who have a position, and I'm not sure this is necessarily the best title for this, but it's kind of what we've been talking about it as. But I think that some towns have a position that's like this, and one of the things that person can do is recruit businesses to fill empty storefronts and things like that. And I feel like that is definitely something that's beyond the scope of what the town manager can or should be taking on. Like, I mean, it's big, and I mean, even, so I'll give an example from we had a Yellow Barn meeting this morning, in which there was there's always this pause, like, because it's a group of people who've come together and said, let's see if we can make something happen in town. But it's really, there's not a paid person whose job it is to run that, right? It's a group. It's a collaborative effort. So there comes a point in the conversation where somebody says, all right, so, Allison's writing a historic preservation grant.
Well, she gets paid for it, it's her job, right?
Yep. No, a lot of people get paid for it, but it's not, what I'm saying is it's nobody's job to organize the thing. It's a collaborative effort.
Or make the thing happen for Hardwick.
So
another town in the Northeast Kingdom.
So we end up with this okay, it's crunch. We haven't heard back from these people who we'd like to have letters of support from for this grant that's due tomorrow. Allison's like, I'm flat out doing this and that. Can somebody else please organize that?
Right.
Who from the town of Hardwick can do that? Well, the two people there are me and Sean.
Right.
And I had other stuff I needed to do today, and Sean took it, which is great. But I mean, it's just, I'm not saying the town manager shouldn't be involved. I'm just saying that I think there's work to do. I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying too.
There's 2 hours, there were 2 hours out of my day where I had to table everything else because this is due tomorrow and this is an important aspect of the project.
And we're just trying
I can't just let it lie. I had to do it.
Well, I mean, to some extent, that is a factor of taking off a huge bite, which is a huge, ambitious project.
Yeah.
And so maybe if instead of taking on huge projects, we filled one little storefront in town, maybe that's all the town, can handle at one time. And I think that would be great.
I don't believe we are anywhere near our limit of economic development in town of Hardwick. And I absolutely do not believe we need to slow it down at all.
Mom, whether you're losing out on your spirit.
Yes, I think this project is not, shouldn't be our focus for the next 5 years and then have to start at zero again when it's
Well,
completed.
I don't know, I mean, I grew up in Morrisville, right? And so they have all they can expand all they want because they have all those big.
And they do.
big
They have no
plans.
zoning.
And they do.
Or they recently have zoning now, I
Right,
guess.
and I can report that life is no better in Morrisville than it is here. So I don't really see that it's this thing that we need to sort of bring on ourselves.
I would question
necessarily.
whether or not their tax rates and tax base is better. I mean, that's one of our biggest complaints from people is that we don't have any businesses in this town that are really eating up the taxes for us. It's all falling onto the
What did our
the
grand list go up
homeowners.
last year?
What'd you say?
Not
Near
even
zero?
Union did it.
Near zero?
Yeah, not even.
Our grand list don't go up, we.
So if we own the properties though, then we're not getting any more taxes anyway, right?
Well,
Because-
yeah, the focus of this position isn't for us to own land, it's to get for us not to own land. It's for us to develop what resources we have in town to benefit the town. It's, that's.
So that, but it has to be done by private people have to step up and do it with their own property, right? To benefit the town with the tax base.
Well, no, because like an industrial park, we would put in the infrastructure and then we would
Right.
sell off the lots.
Right.
So that would be a benefit to the
I
town. And then
mean,
you
we've
could have
talked
a new
about the yellow,
business at the front.
we talked about the yellow barn
That's not
project
what's
now,
going on
so
here.
it's not gonna be, we're gonna get something out of it.
What?
Well, either.
We're gonna get jobs out of it that. people
And we're
feel
gonna get
that-
a lease with
That's gonna be
payback. and
comparable to the
To
tax,
taxes.
yeah.
We've had that discussion about, it
Right,
won't be
but
pilot, but through
it's
the
like
lease.
that,
I mean,
yeah.
I was pretty hard on that whole subject. Because I was ugly when, to your point, that we weren't gonna get any any financial benefit from it.
Right, right.
And that's just this one particular project. I would hope that we don't continue to do these multi-layered, very complex projects. We would.
It's a little draining.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
you
why-
switch the subject matter with what's happening on LVRT.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rail trail, I mean, if you take a step back and look at this 3 or 4 years back, you wouldn't think that that would necessarily be coming under the, something that the town or the manager's office would necessarily be administering, but we're doing it. Right? 3 years ago, it wasn't on the plate, well, it is now. And it's an
But all
important
these
thing for our
grants-
community.
But all 4 of those grants would be administered.
You
through
gotta
this
do,
position.
so we're helping to try to get to an endpoint of it's completed toward building visitor base and, people coming to the community and having the opportunity to recreate and patronize our businesses. I mean, so we're in the game, we're doing it, right? So and this isn't a complaint, it's just there's a lot that is happening right now, for good reasons. But,
It also, I mean, to your comparison with Morrisville, I mean, I think that just topologically, we're not gonna be the Morrisville. Like, I don't wanna see us be Morrisville exactly, but, and we just don't have that flat, expansive flat land that's easy to build on.
We're not next to Stowe.
We're not next, although we're getting closer.
That's great.
We're getting closer to Stowe.
Yeah, that's true.
As Morrisville becomes more Stowe. But,
Stowe's getting closer to us.
I think it's the mountain.
yeah, Stowe's getting closer to us, that could be. So, but I do think that, so I think that our growth is probably finite and a much smaller finite amount than, say, Morrisville. Right,
Right, but part of the thing, like Morrisville, and sort of the thing I worry about is if you think about growth all the time, is that you end up growing in places that maybe you shouldn't. Like Morrisville recently, so Katie's Falls is a little community, kind of like Macville, and they had their own springs. They had their own water system, and so Morrisville, but it was on a big flat field, was above that. You know where Dunkin' Donuts is? So
Yes.
out back at Dunkin' Donuts, there's that big, kind of open, sort of it's behind much stuff right now, but there's a big open field back in there. And so Morrisville decided to put Katie's Falls on town water so that they could then develop that field because then it wasn't on an aquifer anymore. And so they made decisions like that for pushing development into places. And so in my opinion, that's good spring water flowing out of the ground, but they've decided that it's okay to pollute that because they'd rather put it on pump water from the town. And so,
You know,
there's
you're stretching it a
things like
little
that.
bit.
Because I get concerned that when you're grow, there's a lot of decisions like that get made that are not good in the long run.
So I think, in general outlook, I tend to agree with you, but personally, I feel like we're not at a point in Hardwick where we need to be putting the brakes on.
Well, this wouldn't be brakes on, this would just be not speeding up. We don't need to put the gas on, that's what I'm saying.
I guess I think a little bit of gas might be okay.
Okay.
Maybe not forever.
I mean, this
And maybe
person
not.
also, this position also would potentially try to attract people who would open bed and breakfasts, who would want to create, do a
Some
better
sort.
job with some of our rental properties that have been for sale and are not being maintained well. I mean, there are all kinds of ways that, that Sean's not gonna be out there doing.
Right.
There's all kinds of things that could improve what we have right now and make it more economically progressive and, you know,
Robust.
robust.
So here's another small thing that somebody brought up, Caledonia Spirits. There's a building now over behind the log yard that Caledonia Spirits is still in, but is gonna be vacating. They'd really love to find somebody to take over that, because they don't wanna keep paying for it, obviously, but it would probably be a pretty good thing to have another business in there. It's there, there's a road to it, there's power, you know. It'd be really cool if we had somebody who could work on that a little, follow up the leads when we hear like, oh, maybe so-and-so might be interested. I mean, I think for big development projects, I don't know, I think we've talked about all the ones that I'm aware of.
Well, suppose somebody comes through on the rail trail and says, oh, nice little community here. Who do I talk to find out what business opportunities are available, or what's the housing market like? We could send them to the town manager, or we could have an economic development officer who already has packets put together that have the critical demographic and economic numbers for them. It's just somebody whose job is to respond to questions like that.
Or create that market study survey thing that is supposed to be an existing document for potential businesses that ours was done at some point in the, I don't even remember. I mean, it's really old, extremely old. So no one would look at that and say, oh, this is a thriving, you know.
And it is a thriving.
It is.
Right.
You know, and
it's a lot different than it was even 10 years ago.
it's not 1905. You know, we are not going through the ceiling.
I don't know that this is even adding, it definitely adds to the budget, it adds to the staff. I view it more as shifting a burden or an extra workload we've placed on the town manager's position away from that. I don't know if that makes sense, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'd like to avoid burnout with town manager. I'd sure love to not have to find somebody else.
Every 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I mean, but I hear you that you don't wanna develop too fast, and that a lot of times things that happen over a longer period of time tend to be better projects and.
Yeah, it can be better thought out and better.
Look at the
have
yellow
more
barn.
sustainability through the future. What's that?
Well, the Yellow Barn has been, what, 4 years you've been working on this?
I don't know, some number of years. You know what I learned though?
What?
Caledonia Spirits took, there as a private company with just 2 principal owners, I believe. Took them 4 years to do that project in Montpelier.
Wow.
Yeah.
$8 million project or whatever, it seems like a.
Yeah.
Well, it made
4
me feel
years seems
better.
pretty.
It just made me
Seems
feel
pretty
better.
fast in a way, you know?
Can I offer just a quick comment? It seems to me that, I appreciate what Lucian said about, you gotta be careful you're not going exponentially fast on things, but I think we gotta deal with where we're at right now. And right now, we got a lot in the pipeline that's, in my opinion, gonna be advantageous for our community and the surrounding area. And there is a lot of detail that we do need to cover, so as a community, we're not dropping the ball. And, with those things that are in the pipeline now, the outcome is positive. I think that's really what we're trying to address with this, economic development coordinator position. Let's make sure we're keeping, those things that are in the pipeline now on the right path. That's how I think about this. So.
I think about it is not only that, but continue the pipeline.
Yeah.
Because these things take time.
Yeah.
So, if every year goes by, you should add a new one. Because it's 5, 6, 10 year, might be a 10-year project. Rail trail's been 20 years, and it's a third done. You know what I'm saying? So, and my feeling to your concern, Lucian, is this position may allow us to do a more thorough job in achieving exactly what you're saying, is to make sure that
We can do the planning.
make sure that we're not filling in an polluting aquifer, you know what I mean, or overbuilding, or get us some, you know what I mean? I think that position could help us make sure we don't make bad decisions versus making Russ, no offense to you, Sean, but it's not his bailiwick, economic development, so he may miss something, or may not know something, or. So if you have somebody there that's actually got the time to sit down and adjust it, just like today, if he'd have had a crisis over here, we may have missed this opportunity on this project, or, he may have he may have needed him and he didn't find him, because I don't look at this as a negative, I don't see it as necessarily speeding things up. I see it allowing us to do a better job of it.
And we could potentially help ourselves with some of the infrastructure issues. I mean, attracting some other business that then we require them to build us some sidewalks to get to their business. Or,
somebody should have thought of that.
To deal with, we're too busy.
No, and there was no harm and foul there,
We
but because none of us
could've
thought of it, we should have, as much money as Dollar General spent to put that store in down there, they should have contributed a large sum, maybe not built the whole sidewalk, but they should have contributed to
At least something,
it.
so that people aren't
To get
walking
people
the road
down
to
there,
get
but-
down there.
No one thought of it.
I think the other thing I'll say about, for those of us who are speaking about this position, the four of us in a rosy light, is that I think that how well this goes, so we're looking for, it's a part-time, like a half-time position, and it needs to be the right person.
Right.
And, it may not work out.
Yeah, we may post it and never get anybody to apply.
Or we may post it and get somebody and have them for a year or two and say, you know what, this is not working. I don't know, but I think we've talked about it for a long time, and it seems like it fits in this year's budget reasonably well.
With the workload that we know we have, existing workload we know we have.
We have built up, starting with John, we've built up the workload in the town manager position. And Sean, I think you've done a great job coming in and running.
Right.
But boy, you've been running right from the get-go.
Yeah, because really when we hired John Jewett, that wasn't.
It wasn't even in there.
It wasn't even in the job description.
It wasn't there at all.
And the Center for Ag came along. And that's what started the whole thing. And it was, John was the only one there, right?
Right, yep.
And that's really where he got his feet wet in the whole thing. Because that wasn't his background either.
And the LVRT wasn't on the table then either,
Not
to the capacity it is now.
No, that's right, because
the first couple times I went with John to meet with Cindy and whoever was in charge of the rail then, they said, no, you guys can't do anything.
Right, because originally they didn't want no help when she first took over. So.
Right.
Now it's all yours. Anyway,
So.
I gotta leave, I got a meeting. I told you that.
Yeah. So I just saw that dropped from 30 to 20.
Yeah, because I just shifted it down to social security expense, because I realized that. like,
Oh, you had that all in there?
Yeah, I had it kind
All
of the
in that
whole
one line.
encompass
Right.
position, but I should move a portion of it, so that's why. So the total hasn't changed, I just shifted some down to social security expense. Because if it was, we were thinking like 20 hours a week, so 40 hours bi-weekly, half-time. And so we wouldn't have retirement or insurance or anything like that. We'd have social security and such, so. And then maybe there would be occasional projects that would warrant an extra 5 hours a paycheck, something like that, so. Yeah.
All right, so my feeling is let's let that ride in there for now as we carry on.
The other thing I wanted to mention, I forgot to go back, you had asked a question in line items about auditing. The reason for that is because when we budgeted last year, at the time, I didn't realize that water and sewer pay 25% each category of the audit, so the whole audit expense was put into general budget for the current fiscal year. And so that included, so our audit expense, like this year is about 23, plus if we need a single audit.
Yeah.
But.
Which we will probably.
Correct, yes, and so it's because water and sewer will absorb, that's like 50% of the, that's
Okay. Thank
why
you.
it's gone down so much, just
Okay.
because last year it didn't factor in that water and sewer paid half of it.
And it's a good thing I emailed you because when you started bringing that up right now, I had no recollection of what you were talking about at first, so
Yeah,
thank you.
you said, here's my questions, but we'll talk about it at the meeting.
Because I know I will not remember.
That's why it went down so much.
Thank you.
Yep. So, okay, so then we'll go back to.
Lister, professional, no, assessor is in here somewhere, that's remaining the same.
It's in.
Don't we have a multi-year contract?
It's the first time, it's the first time.
Right here.
Line item.
Somebody goes,
Lister professional services.
Yeah. Yes, same rate.
18,000.
Everybody else had, Lucian's saying he thinks that was a 2 or 3 year.
wasn't that, do you remember,
Contract.
2-3-year contract with us?
Right, so it went up like $100 each year, so I
Okay.
went to the contract and
Okay.
got what the rate was. It's actually a contract that's April to March or something, because we started it funky, so I did the calculation on what it would be from July
Okay.
1st to June 30th. That's where I came up with that number directly from the contract.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, so then, I guess capital funds, you wanna go back and talk about, we already, what did we do?
We already added,
So the road fund, we historically went up $10,000 a year, we decided to bump that up to 15. The capital general fund, so where we, kind of talked about here was the police recruitment piece of it, and that's where the 120 comes from, and then we decided that LVRT we're gonna take right off there for this time, is that correct? We're gonna
It'll
take
be
that
all right on
off.
our matches, Eric.
huh?
You think that'll be okay to zero out LVRT?
Well, we have,
I mean, we're continuing to get contributions, we have some set aside, we just gotta make sure we're covering our match, and I don't know the exact numbers right now, but.
so we have somewhere though, yeah, but to cover our match, we have somewhere money that was saved, bike path. There we
Right
go.
here, but it's very low right now, there's about 6,000 in there, and I almost think, have we spent some of that on some summit? We might have already spent some of that.
On Summit's most recent work.
Uh-huh,
Yep.
yeah, so I don't really think we have anything in there right now.
It's sort of a sidewalk. I got a chuckle.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, so decisions
thinking
I
it's
guess
sort
we
of a
made
sidewalk.
is, are we sticking with this amount right here, and, are we?
So we had said, in conversation, maybe, let me rephrase. In my mind, in my little world, there had been money in the budget to match the, expense for the parking lot over by the town garage and that section of that whole project with lights, parking lot, rail trail, which is the smallest amount of rail trail, that's coming, the grant source for that is the so-called bike path grant, the earmark.
From 2006.
And I, in my mind, had thought we were all set for match on that we had saved it, but maybe that's in the sidewalk
I'm
line.
just trying to think here, we
I think
did
that was
just
sidewalk
pay-
line.
We've certainly built a lot of sidewalks with that bike path money, so
Right.
to me, it seems okay to use some sidewalk line.
That's what I thought that was gonna be over there.
You think that's where it is in this? Okay. Is everybody good with that?
Yeah, just, Casey, can you scroll back down?
That's where that money went originally. Well, originally it was the bike path, and then we shifted it into a major sidewalk project on
Right.
South Main Street.
Right, right, went a little bit sideways on the bike
Yeah.
path idea, yep.
Yeah.
So how much do you have in the sidewalk?
40,000 in it plus 10 a year in sidewalks?
Yes.
It's up a little bit, right?
So then this, so we'd actually have like roughly 50 in there right now because this first column is
We did a
what?
sidewalk in front of the post office,
Yeah, that was
not much probably.
1,500, 12,000, $1,000 maybe?
No, we did just that little piece, but we did out in front of the,
That because that.
Gazette, and then hopefully this spring we'll tear up the ones in front of the Hardwick.
But the one in Gazette, wasn't that
Chugging
this
that,
spring, wasn't
really.
that in last
What's that?
fiscal year?
Wasn't hard to get really going to pot here, really hard.
But all that's probably not 10,000 bucks altogether. And what we're on the hook for that project I was referencing on Creamery Road is, that entire project should be less than 100,000, I think. 80% of that's grant, so I wouldn't expect our match to be over 20 on that. Just rough numbers.
I gotta check the numbers.
Okay.
Do we adjust, I just wanna, while I'm seeing it, we had, Alberta, might you wanna, just make sure I'm saying this right, on the records, on the vault door's referenced there.
We combined them.
Is that the right amount moving forward though? Because I think we
Oh, that's
found
records
out our
restoration,
vault door,
too.
we're nearly there on what we need.
We have enough to do it now.
So the 7,500 is coming from the records restoration that we're gonna be.
I haven't got that done.
So we,
That
the
many
7,500 is on estimated, because you have to put $4 per page into that, that's
Okay.
where that comes from. That's what we'll do. Let's say that it comes out 8,000, then we'll just have to transfer an additional 500 by statute. But we shoot for about that amount.
And
At the
that's
end of the
now
year,
off-
she'll calculate,
That's now offset by a revenue item too, right? Because we left the.
correct, the recording fees,
Recording
yes.
fees total.
Oh,
was
okay.
Just pulled out the $4 and put it into records restoration and a.
And that's
Yeah.
how we're accounting for it?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. All right, so, yeah, so the LVRT improvements line,
It was just, it's highlighted because it's like
Yeah.
a question mark, like, where are we gonna do anything for it or not?
So that's funny that this sidewalk, I mean, in some ways, this thing out here should be in that line? Am I thinking of that right?
you are.
Okay. But.
Or,
but we're in the sidewalk.
you would think, we have it in the sidewalk line.
And that's just because it came into a sidewalk thing earlier date or something, or just the way it got put together? Okay.
Don't know, that's just.
I
where we
created
have
this
it.
LVRT improvement line,
Right.
like, just as a
Oh, I
topic
see.
for discussion.
So I think there very well may come a time when we want to budget some money for like mowing for the LVRT when it actually is built here.
That's Ed's problem.
It's gone.
That's Ed's problem. He's fit it in his schedule.
So, I'm gonna skip back to equipment here, whether or not we want to.
Add a fire truck to this.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
really small, sorry, I got it, so right now, it's not in a schedule anywhere here, whether or not we wanna put it on one, and
Yeah.
looking ahead at the account balance, we have adequate funds, you know, for the bond payment and such, but we will still, we still plan for that.
The ladder truck isn't there? Why? So even though we bond, why don't we put a, it's no different than when we lease stuff or,
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it appears it just hasn't been done. We do
so where
the
does that go?
trucks
Just
and-
into the fire department's budget?
No, so it comes out of here, so see where it says fire rescue, that's the
Oh.
bond payment.
Okay, so it is there already. All right.
So you could, we could add a column and do for actual fire truck and reserve, but we also should reserve for the bond payment at least by, we could start in the 2022 budget.
So, but this is just,
realistically.
the fire rescue is just the ladder truck, bond.
No, that's the 2014 bond, that's the bond payment.
That we already
It's the
have.
rescue truck.
Yeah.
So should we, I mean, I see all the dump trucks have their own line. Should we have a line for every fire truck?
What
that
did we
we're
do?
gonna be
We bought
put
that
in
ladder
rotation?
truck?
What's that?
We paid for the ladder truck?
Yeah. Or no. We gone for that.
We don't have a payment on it.
No. No, we've had that for about 15 years
I was
now.
gonna say,
Already?
we're that
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, we took a bond out for that for 10
I
years.
started getting old.
I think you went for the rescue just as soon as the ladder was done. I think that's how we had done that.
So Lucid's just asking, do we need a column for every truck?
Well, we can pay for big enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure every truck, more like fire trucks in general, I suppose.
Oh, what's the
I
difference?
think we wanna
I mean,
create.
I disagree with that. I mean, if we're gonna have a capital equipment fund for the fire department, then it needs to be listed, right?
Just like, it
Just like
says
every other
truck
truck.
one,
I mean,
truck.
how
like
else
the
are you gonna
others.
schedule them out for replacement if you don't have?
Just like how many are there?
Individually.
Right now, we just got 4. That's enough.
So one of them's already on there.
Correct, because it's the bond payment, right?
Yeah, I would
So
say
it's
add
three
them as we go, I would think, at least.
Well, if we add them now, all of them now, then we can plan for them.
Start planning for them, right.
Might as well.
Because next time we'll be like, what's that there for and why isn't it having money?
Right. I mean, we might wanna put them on two different sheets, the fire and the town trucks. You know what I mean?
we could do
Just
that.
so
Or just so you can look at it.
Just so it's
read.
easier to look at and digest, and you won't get
Do we
confused. All the cycles
want
are
to
different.
say,
Right.
Casey, work something up for us for next time?
I would think things like equipment, that's, you know, air pad, there's stuff that you have down there that are
Okay,
substantial.
so under the capital general, fire department equipment and clothing has its own separate capital
Yeah.
right here.
Oh, okay, so we're good on that.
And we're gonna.
Right here, so we've got some funds in there
Right, but I
now.
mean, we could put, that should all be in like the fire department capital.
Danny
And
said
then the
he-
highway capital equipment, you know what I mean, just so it's easier reading.
We have different capital fund
Right,
charts.
And we can say for next meeting, next select board.
So you want a sheet like this
Yep,
for just fire?
yep,
Just
Just
please.
highway and just.
Okay, so that's gonna create a bunch of additional pages in the town report, just so you're aware.
A bunch, not one.
They'd have to be, if you wanna separate fire, highway, and what else? We have police is the other. So that would be, but police there's only one, you don't wanna put that on its own, so.
Well, no, but you could go police, fire.
If anything,
police,
just
fire.
put fire on its own and leave all these others together.
Yeah.
And create
Yeah.
one extra
Yeah.
page, is
That
my
sounds good.
opinion.
Why, can you tell me why the logic of moving the fire department again to its own?
Oh, just
Right here,
so-
we've got different departments shown
All right,
across
so
this.
that's fine too.
I mean,
As long as it's
adding,
logic.
if you wanted me to add separate columns for all
Yeah.
the fire trucks, I could probably add this one column and keep this to one page. But if you wanna see
Horizontal.
4 separate fire
Yeah.
trucks, there's no way this can be formatted to the town report and be able to read it on one page. It's just gonna be like,
I'd say
That
new.
was my thought.
One new page with the fire trucks.
That's the only reason I said it next
Yeah.
to page was because
Just the
so you
fire
could read
trucks or
it.
with the
Yeah,
fire?
no, I think we should do that, yeah.
I don't care.
That's the only
well,
way,
this is
even if,
equipment, so we wanna keep the fire department and add the clothing and stuff, I think in general, but
Okay.
equipment.
Can you scroll left one
but even if
column,
we don't
Casey?
start filling all that budget.
You need to have
Do
it
you
there.
want me to take that
Yeah.
bond payment
Yes,
for the
please.
fire out of here and put it on the other sheet with the trucks, probably? Keep fire
Yep.
separate?
Yep,
How,
Then you're gonna have to start a capital fund, right? You're gonna have to take the 35,000 out of this.
Yeah, I'll
and
have
put
to
it in the
set up
other.
a new
yeah,
capital
so
fund and
that's
such.
why I'm saying, how about for next time? Let's not do it on the fly.
Yeah, we just need to start tracking it at this point. so-
And then that'll create those placeholders that we can either start filling in this year and or in future years, but we'll at least have to look at them every time and say, why isn't that funded? And then we can say, we move to it,
So we're
and
not
yeah,
doing it?
that's all good.
No, we're moving this to a different tab and
Yeah.
starting another capital.
Good.
Okay.
All right, they're into the budget for tonight? Yeah, thank you, everyone, that's a long and winding road.
Item 5.
Huh?
Item 5.
Item 5 is Animal Control Officer. Danny Hale
Ooh,
says,
Sean said.
Danny Hale says Sean has something to say.
Okay, so, I'll go then. I had talked to this individual actually a little bit while back when, John was having some trouble with the health issues before he officially resigned. So Dean Mercier has approached us and said he would be interested in serving this capacity in the interim role. He has experience in this area. He's a known entity in the community. He's talked to, Danny talked to him today. Chief Cochran and I talked about this. I talked to Alberta about this. So Dean has been involved with Justice for Dogs, Passion for Paws, has some experience in this area, does rescue dogs of his own, and he's, I talked to him briefly today, and he came by and he said, I can serve in this capacity. If you guys are willing to assign me, I'd be interested in taking it on.
So I should know the answer to this question, but it's late. Is this an appointed position, or?
Yep.
It is?
Yep.
Almost seems like it should be hired by the police department. It does.
I've never wanted to do that.
Well, that's one of the things Dean did mention is officer or warden or launch or whatever, had some additional duties that he liked to participate in, more along the law enforcement. Chucking of tires and stuff.
But Dean didn't want to.
Dean wants nothing to
No,
do.
Dean just wants to be assigned. Yeah, Dean,
That's the most pressing issue.
parking enforcement is the other side of it.
Yeah, but the
He
animal
wants to just
control-
serve in the ACO position.
Well, that's the more pressing issue.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we really need.
Yep, great, sounds good.
So I did share with him our ordinance, and we're trying to just dig up some information on, I was just trying to find some description information for him. So I told him that we, based on the conversation I had with Danny today, and Dean stopping by my office, I would put it before the board. So if you guys want to take some action, he's willing to take it on.
We have no one doing it right now.
We had, oh, sorry, I should have started with, we asked for anybody who might be interested to provide a letter of interest to the town manager's office by last Friday, I think was our deadline. We received nothing. And we're in the process of re-advertising it, so I think it's, that's
I'd really
it.
like someone to
I'd
make a
like to
motion.
make a motion that we go ahead and let this Dean Mercier, who seems overwhelmingly interested and qualified to take this on for us.
I second it, yeah. No.
Any more discussion?
It's a real.
You too, motion two.
It
With 3
continues
seconds.
to be a really hard thing.
You'll have
so-
to reappoint them again in March anyway, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it continues to be a hard thing to fill,
Right.
and it's great that he's interested in
And
it.
he's already into rescuing dogs and.
He does this kind of work already, he knows what he's
Personally
into.
been bit more than
Maybe
any
he
other human being I
can
know.
do a better deal with the boarding situation when we do have dogs,
that's right,
strays
too.
that
That's
have
part
to
of
be
it, too.
boarded until they're figured out where they belong and stuff like that.
He actually has a little he
He's got
has a
place.
business in town.
Yeah.
He actually has a little makeshift kennel where both
Oh,
at his
wow.
house. He's already set up to rescue the animals, so he's got
Great.
experience.
That's amazing.
Hooray.
Congratulations.
All in favor? Please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, and thank you very much, Dean. That is a great service to the town.
So I'll keep contact with him, and we'll just keep the ball rolling on that one.
Great, thank you,
Perfect.
Sean, Aaron,
Check
Alberta,
off
everybody
one.
who worked on that. Next is select board reports.
Sadly, the townhouse has received word that we did not receive the grant that we applied for the roof and the fire escapes. So back to the drawing board.
Okay.
Try again.
All right,
We may need to, I'm gonna try to work with Sean to figure out because it's exterior, so we may need to think about maybe getting some advice from an architect, getting some tighter plans, because that may be part of why we're not getting it. I don't know.
Are you able to get feedback for?
We have some architectural renderings, but we don't have like a stamped architect on it, so.
No, but I mean from the grantor.
Super competitive.
And that's part of.
That is part of it.
But
Okay.
this last one, the Paul Brun Funds, was just like a surprising, like, new fund
Yeah.
that they did. But, previously, we had applied for the cultural facilities through the Arts Council, and that's really competitive too, but they like, safety and accessibility projects, so.
We keep going back to the well, so, you know, with the work on preparing these grants, the next time an opportunity comes up, we're in a good position because we have some of our information, obviously, to Sherry's point.
Yeah.
If we have a tighter design, maybe
The
if
next
that's gonna
round
help
for
us.
Cultural facilities,
together.
the next
Yeah.
round is May that you apply,
Okay.
and then you don't hear about it until August, and then Preservation Trust, this stuff is probably in the fall, so we'll see about the
Okay.
roof thing. But,
All right.
yeah. Too bad.
Yeah, bummer. Any other select board reports? New business?
Do we have, oh, sorry,
Old business?
the CUD?
Yeah, the CUD. Before we do the CUD, I'm just gonna say that, that the select board and town manager agreed on a 18-month contract. And and we have that signed and in place, which is great, and thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
And 18 months solely to get in sync with
The
Fiscal year.
fiscal
fiscal year, just so
year.
people understand why 18 months.
It sounds a little weird, but that's to get us, because Sean came on in the January.
Actually, quite common in the second contract, to get people in sync.
Yeah. for the fiscal
Or
year.
no.
Got past that.
All right. The CUD, do we want to discuss the CUD?
Oh, man. I belonged to an organization once where the acronym was NAPALM.
You did not.
And we had to change because of,
Yeah?
and I would suggest I do the same with the CUD.
Oh, I like it. I like it. I like it.
The community something district. Union, thank you. Well done.
Communications Union District.
Communications, oh, there we go. Union District. Which could bring us, fiber to the
So
home.
what are they asking us to do? I forgot what the
They
ask
just
was.
want to be on the.
They want to be on the warning.
And we're supposed to appoint somebody.
No?
I think we need a representative.
No,
They want to create it.
said that they had
They-
potential representatives already.
And I asked them to have them come here and talk to
Yeah,
us.
so,
Was it Tom?
Yep.
He's a cut, all right.
so they must be coming to a future meeting. Why can't we just put them on the warning and
So we're
expect
putting on
them to do
the
the
warning
work?
to ask for what?
To ask
whether
if
the
Hardwick
town
will
wants to
join the communications district. Right.
What better way to do it?
Let
Right.
people elect to do it.
Okay.
Let the people decide.
So,
want-
we're not voting on this tonight anyway, so.
Oh, you want
if
to
we
wait?
could
I was gonna
just-
say, I got
if
the
we could
language here
just-
if you need it.
No, when we get around to, it sounds like the general,
Warning.
the board is generally agreeing, I think, that we should
To
throw
let
this
the
on the
people-
warning.
Put it on
So
the
when the
warning,
warning's
yeah.
prepared, we'd like to see it on there, because we're
Yeah.
probably gonna vote to have it on there.
Oops, moved.
Yeah, I'll push it. I can push that. Once I get it back, I
It's
can
an
push it to
iPad.
you.
Shall the town of Hardwick enter into a communications union district to be known as the NEK Communication Fiber under the provision of 30 VSA CH.
Chapter 82, yeah.
Just email that to Alberta.
Yeah, because you know what, if they don't do a better job of educating the public, they're not
It's
gonna
not
vote
Yeah,
for
gonna
it.
pass,
they
yeah.
can get the word out.
Right.
So,
It's their thing.
They want to make
I-
it happen, they can make it happen.
Yeah, but
I'd
it
like
sounds
to
like it's
comment-
potentially a positive.
I did talk with Kristen, who was here that night, last meeting, and she followed up with me earlier this week, and she said, we think we got a couple Hardwick community members that would be interested in being involved, so they're working on it
Perfect.
to help,
Yeah.
just with the conversation here.
Great. Yay, we moved past that, that can be on the ballot. Ballot, warning.
Warning.
Thank you, it's getting late. Somebody told me there might be leftover pizza tonight, but I didn't see any.
It's in the fridge downstairs.
That's so far away. All right, Nick,
Why is it left over? Come on.
huh?
From a party I wasn't invited to?
Yeah. None of us were. All right, not none of us, none of us. So, next, can we have a
We had a good time, she said.
Second.
All right, so, Sherry made the motion for executive session, Wiz second. This is for contracts for the, with AT&T for Buffalo Mountain Trail access, and then, a town report dedication, which is really not secret, we just like it to be a surprise.